Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people, and people misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E? Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do you need to see?
All right, we're ready. I'm just checking everything. I know I missed something, but I don't know what it is. Good morning. Happy Friday. No Pants Friday. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. We have fun stuff to do today that I'm excited about. And then the weekend. I don't know. I'm not going to rub it in, but my local weatherman has been telling me for like 4 days about how good this weekend's going to be. So if he's been lying to me, we're going to have some words. But apparently this is like the weekend to go out and just have fun. Early spring, summer. I mean, it's the school out basically for a lot of people in this area. I think in the last week, next week, somewhere around that area, school's over. I forget. I work all the way through it. It doesn't change anything for me other than that, the kids don't go off and do homework. Anyway, welcome. Let's see, Michelle Traconis sentencing today. Yes, we're not going to follow that live, but we'll probably blurt it out on here when it happens. Let's see what else we have. And you're going to the beach. Yes, I am going to the beach. Mrs. R.A. got us, scored us tickets on, it's actually a homeschool trip. She scored us tickets on like a science trip to an island of some sort. So we get on a boat, and they've got like some instructors, some science teachers, earth science, natural science. I don't know what science. It's all about sand and bugs and fish, I think. But zip on out to the beach, take our lunch. They take us to a little island, which you can only get to by boat. That's what an island is. And they teach us about, I don't know, hermit crabs or something. I'm really excited about it. I've not done that before. But let's see. A Dave. Yes, it's a Dave. You have a chance for another live stream from a boat. Last time it was a ferry, though, which honestly, I felt more motion sick on that ferry than I've felt on any boat except for the headship out of Hatteras, where we went out deep sea fishing. I experienced full seasickness on that trip. And one day when you all have strong stomachs and are not contemplating food, I will share the video I made memorializing the highlights of that trip, including the on the way out where everyone was practically dancing on the boat. It was so much fun. All the whole youth group we had were just like, party, we've got the whole boat to ourselves. It's meant to hold 75 people. And there are 13 of us, okay? 13, 14, something like that. And the kids are like, yeah, party. And then it changed. And 2 people were not sick, only 2. And those people caught, 80 triggerfish, which we all got to keep. We all meaning me. And everybody else, it was just facing a bucket for the whole time we were out. But I had my phone, and me being the dedicated cameraman that I am, I fought through the sickness. Enough to video everything. And I mean by everything, I mean everything. And I didn't want to show people, and so I wanted to show stuff. It turns out that after just drinking water, it's hard to see stuff compared to ocean. So I had to drink a Gatorade. I literally had to drink a Gatorade to get the shot. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But it looks beautiful. I've got the video. I will share it if you want. It will probably demonetize the channel. I felt so bad. I have never, seasickness is the worst kind of sickness ever. Anyway. On that note, let's sing happy birthday to somebody. So, good morning. Good morning to all of you. I see a lot of familiar faces from the podcast last night. Thank you very much for being there and for being here. Honestly, before we sing to the birthday people, by the way, thank you, Sharon. We have first to say, Selena K, congratulations. First in chat, you are the winner of the internet. The winner of the internet. Congratulations. You knew what was coming when you said hi. So I'm not going to warn you about how bad it is, about how many people call you nonstop asking for assistance with setting their microwave clock. But it'll happen. And it's your own fault for being first in chat, but we thank you for doing it anyway. Selena, thank you. Appreciate you being a longtime supporter of the channel. Now, on to the birthdays. We're going to sing together Happy Friday. Happy Friday birthday. To Lisa, Tim, Carla, Christy, and TW. I think I've got TW reached out earlier, so we'll include TW on the list. Let's see. I think that is. Let's see. And Samantha, my daughter. Okay, hang on. Uh-oh. Now it gets tricky. Highlight, right clip, copy, paste. Okay, so now I need to add the others. TW and at Samantha. I'm not sure if it's at Samantha. I'm just going to say Samantha. I'm not going to assume that is her YouTube name. Okay, so here's the new and revised birthday list. Thank you very much, everyone who's helped contribute to that. I'll flip the chat switch. Oh, chat is on. It works. Just kidding. Sorry about that. That was my fault. Chat is now showing. All right. Let's find the birthday song, wherever that is. It's over here. Everybody join with me in the sing-along as we sing and celebrate to Lisa, Tim, Carla, Christy, TW, and Samantha, who are celebrating their birthdays today or this weekend. There we go. And Nancy. Nancy as well. We're going to add Nancy to this. Okay, here we go. Blend your voices. Sing with me. Dancers, ready, go. Here we go. La 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 la. Warmed up. Good. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lisa, Tim, Carla, Christy, TW, Samantha, and Nancy. Happy birthday to you. Did we miss any at that? That was the most rushed warm-up I've ever done. Yes, we added Nancy. Thank you, Alita. We added Nancy. All right, we got everybody in one verse. So let's see. Let me. Where did it go? I lost it. This is most of it. Let's see. So we have Lisa, Tim, Carla, Nancy, TW, Nancy, and Samantha. Happy birthday, Sixfold Boss. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to everyone who's celebrating a birthday today. We realize there are a million places you could be and a million people you could be with to celebrate your special day, but you have chosen to be here with us. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's not lost on me. That is the privilege, pleasure, and honor, all ours. Thank you. Help yourself to free pancakes at Denny's or waffles. Can I just say, find a place to get free waffles. I had waffles for breakfast. I don't normally eat a big breakfast. I'm not a breakfast guy. But I made 3 perfect waffles this morning. And I would now vouch for them over pancakes. So it was delicious. That being said, I will probably fall asleep from a maple syrup crash shortly. All right, dancers, you looked fantastic as always. Thank you. And to all the singers, we heard your voices echoing over the hillside. It was beautiful. Happy birthday to everybody who is celebrating. And we drum solo. Oh, I shut it off. I shut it off before Jennifer did the drum solo. She was ready too. You've been practicing all week, Jennifer. I apologize. Let's see if we can do the simplified drum solo. Ready, go. Ooh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Have you heard of Seabase High Adventure? Yes, I never got to go on that. They've been in St. Thomas all week. The pictures look absolutely fantastic. Seabase looks amazing. All right. We are ready. Good morning, Ven. You're late, but you're here. You just missed the birthday song. I danced in real life. Now I'm winded. Everyone's dancing in real life. What are you talking about? Just a girl baking. Is this the first time you've joined us? How did I miss that? Let's see. I went to the Canton Police Department page last night on Facebook, and the comments were hilarious. They are so good, and they don't know it. It's like they update and then do nothing. Nobody's getting alerts and alarms about updates. Please call your favorite sister today. On air? What would you like? We could do an on-air call. Fair Chair, member for 13 months. Thank you very much, Fair Chair. Great to have you. Congratulations on the 13 months. That Orange Courthouse, it's here to stay for a little while, but it looks good on you. So appreciate that. All right. We are a little bit late on this trial. Well, we're actually a little bit early because it starts 9:30, but we have some catch-up to do. So we are going to continue watching the catch-up of a few. I think we have 3 witnesses off air, okay. 3 witnesses we have to get through on this Tennessee trial. For those that are just joining us on this trial, this is what I thought would be a straightforward murder trial. It turns out we are now calling it, let's see, what did Adam rename this to? He had the best name, and it was, oh yes, the Hot Tub Cold Case. The Hot Tub Cold Case. This is a trial we thought was a straightforward murder, which we haven't had in a while. Turns out it's a cold case. 13 years ago, this crime was committed. And you think, oh, is this a retrial? Oh, was this, was it an appeal for some reason? What happened? Was there a mistrial? No, this is the first time it's going to trial, and it's 13 years later. So obviously the evidence is old. Some of the technology we're used to in modern court, I say modern, like 13 years ago was like ancient, but like the videos were recorded probably on beta or VHS back then. It's a square format. Remarkably, the audio is pretty good, but the memories of the witnesses a bit foggy. It's been a while, but remarkably, they're better than the memory from the witnesses in the Karen Reed trial. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that's just how it's fleshed out. But the story is, according to the state, that the defendant, David Smith, murdered his wife, Karen Smith, in their home or in the garage, and then took her body and dumped it a short distance over by the river, a few miles away. Then staged her car with a flat tire about a quarter mile from the house, and then pretended like nothing happened. And her body was not found until like 40 days later by hunters. Severe decomposition had taken place, and so there's we just had the ME on the stand and described a lot of that yesterday. In all the details, it turns out that I'm not sure if he wanted to be in what those who are familiar with LawTube know as a throuple, or if he was upset that the pineapple parties were occurring. But there's major aspects of controlling his wife that seem to be an underlying theme that's rising to the top, and little creepy behavior here and there. And you missed the pineapple. Oh, nobody has said pineapple in this trial, but if we say pineapple parties, everybody knows what we're talking about. So that's where we're going there. I think we do not have a pineapple on the thumbnail yet. I think we should put one on because it's appropriate. I just noticed the hot tub has more people in it than it did before on the thumbnail. Anyway, it's all good. Oh man, the marriage was rough. It was rough. The pineapple's in the trunk. Okay, I see the pineapple in the trunk. It is upside down. I see it. Okay, it's there now. All right, thank you very much, Red Pen. Pineapples are all over the thumbnail. Are they hidden? I see a pickle. I think there's one on the picnic or the pile of clothes. No, that's just a pile of clothes. Anyway, we get the impression from some of the witnesses, namely the Bonas. The Bonas threw parties, and they had a hot tub. I'm looking at the hot tub. It looks great. The Bonas threw parties. The parties generally ended in, even if the party was somewhere else, they ended at the Bonas house. The Bonas had a back deck. They had a hot tub, and although that was like the plan, apparently nobody planned to be in the hot tub. Well, what do you bring if you plan to be in the hot tub? A swimsuit. Nobody had planned on it, so they did hot tubbing anyway, which involved sans clothing for many of them. But all the guys who admit to be in attendance have no recollection of any of this. Nothing, and we believe them. We believe they're honest, they're trustworthy, they're completely telling the truth. But they say that nothing happened. If it did, it's like, well, maybe, I'm not sure, it could have happened. Yeah, but I'm not buying that story whatsoever from them. Everybody who goes to the party is not talking about the party. It's like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about it. Nobody's talking about the parties. And apparently there was a neighbor who had a fence that she was very familiar with, where the holes in the fence were, so she could peek through and see things, and where she could peek over, but she doesn't do that. She's not that type of a neighbor. But she did go out late one night into her backyard to go to her fence and saw somebody else using the fence to peek through as well, and that was the defendant. And she was startled by that because she didn't know her fence was in use. Crazy facts in this case. But the point at which we have sort of avoided is the murder itself for a little while. But anyway, we're going to continue. We've got 3 more witnesses, they say, from out of state that we're going to start with this morning. So let's get them pulled up here now. Let's see if we've got any audio from the court. No. It just did a thing. Just did a thing, and it's the wrong thing. Hold tight. Hold, please. Okay, it just jumped to day 3. Okay, here we go. I think we only have about half an hour of what we missed yesterday. Give me a second here. I think we start right about here. All right, let's give this a try. Ready, super source, right? Oh, nope. I would say I'm ready, but I'm not. Okay. All right, here we go.
Helen, are you able to find the last question that Mr. Goodman asked the witness? Is there a way for you to...
Uh-oh, I think I skipped something. I did. I skipped something. Give me a second. We've got to go back. I missed a wee bit. They had a little break. Wish they'd show the witnesses. But
particular facts, that is, Ms. Swift's alleged activities, Mr. Swift's alleged...
Yeah, we've got... This is juicy argument we need to go over. Sorry. Let's see if we can get it all. They took a couple breaks, like late breaks in the day. Did we already see this lady right here?
Close friends.
Okay. And the prosecutor asked you what type
this
of
is where we
mother
ended,
Karen
right?
Swift was. Asked if she would leave her children and go off.
We already
you
saw her.
answered that
Okay.
she wasn't. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're in the right spot. As soon as she leaves the stand, they took a break for just a second. They talked about having 3 more witnesses come in. They took a break again.
Have them send someone with more
Hey,
experience.
don't start on me. It's Friday, guys. It's Friday. And yesterday was a busy day. Who said that? Who threw that little comment at me? Neasy. Starting something on a Friday. Here we go. All right. Now we're ready.
This is not Burger King. People do not get to have it their way.
We do have a full day of court scheduled today, I believe, in this trial, so we'll be picking that up as soon as we conclude this little bit from last night. Cheryl, we went nonstop till it was like 9 p.m. with all the different live streams. Ended with the podcast, which was a lot of fun. If you missed that, I would recommend you go back and watch it. And click the like button. The like button needs a little love. I don't often point that out, but there you go. Somebody remembered it. Frosty Jen, your birthday is today. Happy birthday, Frosty Jen. You missed the birthday song, but happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful happy birthday. Yes, Top Mark is going to stream Daybell today as well. We've got, I think the thumbnail is up right now. We'll apologize once again for the audio issue we had during sentencing on that. I did go back and replay it for them, but I do apologize. I feel absolutely terrible. I tried to split the audio, and technically, from my vantage point, it should have worked. And it was working just fine, and then it suddenly just stopped working. And it seems to be an issue with StreamYard where it doesn't like having audio go 2 places at once. So it stopped going to the StreamYard feed, and it only went to the HDMI side. And I couldn't make a change. I couldn't change anything because it was working in one place, so I was trying to fix the other, and it wouldn't go back to the way it was before. Yeah, Red Pen. I had nightmares about it last night. It was terrible. I commit to doing better. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to do that setup again. It just didn't work. Matthew, thank you for the kind words. In my head, I can tell you I have a visual of the audio, the flow, the audio chain that everything's connecting through. And so when there's a problem, I can see where I can check. And this broke the chain. Everything was connected right. Like I actually tested it afterwards, and it works again, but then it just stopped working while it was working, and that's the worst kind of, like, an intermittent problem is the worst kind because I couldn't fix anything. Frosty Jen, yes, happy birthday, Frosty Jen. Frosty Jen, you might be behind a little bit. You might be way behind. I won't do anything different today. I won't. Daybell is only going to be on Top Mark. That's it. I think even with the sentencing. I had my burner phone was going. I was getting text messages. I was getting the buffer sound and everything, and I was. It was like I was mentally in my head. I was going through everything, which I normally do before I try to fix things physically. I don't use Stream Elements or Nightbot. I was using just StreamYard for Top Mark Media, and then I was using my physical switcher, which is an encoder that sends directly to YouTube. And so I was using both hardware and software, and I was sharing an audio connection, which I had the audio going to HDMI for RA.
Witness, please.
Jimmy Hancock.
What was the first name?
Jimmy Hancock.
Jimmy Hancock. Let's turn the sound up a little bit. But I had the audio going over HDMI, and then I was also sharing the tab with the audio, which normally works on StreamYard, and it was working, and then it just cut off. So I will buy some more equipment that will probably hardware equipment that will split the audio. This is Jimmy.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you state your name, please?
Jimmy Hancock.
Mr. Hancock, do you know David Swift?
Yes, I do.
And what about Karen Swift?
I did not know Karen Swift.
Okay. Tell me how you knew David Swift.
We worked together.
And where did you work?
At that time at Daenerys.
Daenerys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was that in Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long did you and Mr. Swift work together?
About 4 years.
Okay. Were you just co-workers, or were you actually more friends than co-workers?
We were both. We were friends.
You were both. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did two of you ever eat lunch together?
Yes, sir.
How often did you do that?
Oh, wow. Quite a bit.
It was daily? Was it
maybe twice a week?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. When you had these lunches, I assume you would talk about things going on and family and things like that?
Everything under the sun.
Okay. Did Mr. Swift ever talk to you about his family and about his marriage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did he ever talk to you about having any kind of marital issues or problems?
I don't know that I would call it issues or problems. There were unusual things.
Okay. All right. What about their sleeping arrangement? Do you know what their sleeping arrangement was? Did he tell you that?
Well, we really didn't talk about it until after Karen filed for divorce, and then he slept upstairs with Keely.
Okay. And where did Miss Swift sleep?
She slept downstairs.
And did she sleep with anyone?
Other than that Halloween night, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So Keely typically slept upstairs with Mr. Swift?
Your Honor, I object because we're getting into a hearsay. Unless this individual has Mr. Hancock has personal knowledge, I object.
It's a statement of the defendant.
Judge, it's hearsay, unless there's a hearsay exception.
Okay, so statement by a party opponent, that is an exception to hearsay. I don't know why. I think this flies right past the objection. I think this is approved. It's going to come in. Am I hearing that right? This is the first witness that did not know the decedent, that didn't know Karen. He was fine with all the hearsay yesterday. Well, some hearsay is helpful and some hearsay is not. And the not helpful hearsay he objects to. How does this witness know? This witness is testifying to what the defendant told him. And normally hearsay, any statement made outside of court is considered hearsay for generally. So normally that statement would not be allowed in as evidence. But there are 7 notable exceptions to the hearsay rule, such as an excited utterance. But one of those exceptions is a statement by the defendant. My spidey sense tells me you killed her, but not enough evidence so far. Ray, I don't think we'll ever get the evidence that you might be hoping for in this case. Realize we're 13 years after the murder. He was just indicted last year. So arrested last year, out on bond. I've heard that he was back in custody, but I just don't see that. I haven't seen that in the court. It appears that he is out on bond. But $200,000 bond was what it was. They wouldn't have waited that long if they had that evidence. This would have gone to trial, right away, within 90 days to 18 months. You should have seen this in trial, but it didn't. We're now 13 years down the road, and memories are foggier. It wasn't to my knowledge, it wasn't a technological breakthrough where they were able to say retest an item using modern methods or more advanced methods that we have, a dozen years later, and get evidence that they weren't able to achieve before. I don't think this case is one of those. I think what we heard the objection earlier from the defense was, actually objection came from the prosecutor, because the attorney is the prosecutor is a political office, and this was raised. This case, the fact that it hadn't been solved, was raised in that political race for office. So there might have been political pressure to pursue charges in this case from the DA. Court TV said his bond was revoked because he violated his EPO with his second wife. The protective order second wife filed. Okay, so does that mean he's in custody now? If so, it's pretty lax. I've not seen any bailiffs really behind him as court ends. It might just be that the camera is not showing it. There is allegations involving his second wife that are not covered in this case.
Yes. You spent a lot of time with Mr. Swift, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to develop an idea of what type of personality he had?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how would you describe that?
Your Honor, I object to a vague question. The prosecutor can ask a specific question.
Okay, I'll ask
Objection
you.
vague.
The objection as to that question is going to be sustained.
Did Mr. Swift appear to be a perfectionist?
Yes.
Did Mr. Swift appear to be a strong-willed person?
Yes, sir.
Was he controlling?
Your Honor, I object because that's a conclusion. That is a conclusion. He's asking for a conclusion on the part of the witness.
You know, I'm asking what he observed and what his opinion of of what he observed is.
Judge, this is an opinion evidence. This is eliciting facts from a witness. The witness has knowledge without a conclusion. So I do object, sir.
I think we're straying from the facts, and it is offered as an opinion. The objection is going to be sustained.
Did he ever tell you what he expected from his family or his marriage?
Your Honor, that is a vague question.
Wow.
That is very open.
Lots of objections.
And I just object. I mean, we're trying to get to the point in this case, and we need to ask specific, relevant questions that follow the rules of evidence.
I hear your objection. I have it. I understand. What's your response here?
Your Honor, I will rephrase the question.
Thank you.
Did Mr. Swift tell you he wanted to have a perfect family?
Yes.
Did you ever see a time that things did not go the way he wanted at work with an employee?
Your Honor, in what context? And do we know that the witness has personal knowledge? Again.
I think that's what he just asking you. I think that's what he was asking you.
It's exactly
Did
what I
he have
asked.
knowledge of it?
That's exactly what I asked.
A worker did not follow proper conduct. What does that mean? Does it mean behavior? Does it mean work activity? It's vague, Judge.
The objection's overruled. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Did you ever see an opportunity where Mr. Swift interacted with an employee who was having an issue at work?
Yes, several times.
And how did he typically react with that person? Would he get angry? Was he an understanding with the person?
I think for the most part, David was very understanding.
Okay. Did Mr. Swift talk to you about Karen Swift's personal life?
Yes, sir.
Did he talk to you about things that she was doing and how she behaved at times?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about some of those.
Your Honor, it's a vague question, and it's an open-ended question. He needs to ask specific questions. They're relevant.
You know, I think it's a specific question.
And are not used.
I can listen to one of you at a time, but not both of you. There. I got your objection. What's your response?
It was a specific question. Did he tell you about issues that he had with Karen in the marriage? He said yes. Can you tell me about some of those issues he told you about?
Okay.
It's
We're going to need to
specific.
take this up with the jury outside the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. We need to take a break.
Okay, so when you see a defense attorney this adamant on every single comment, every single thing we're getting from this witness they're objecting to, it probably means this is a witness that can do a lot of damage to their case. Okay? Or what? Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Where were you yesterday?
All right. We're going to let the witness wait in the hall.
You know, the witness waits in the hall. I thought we were doing a proffer. So So Mr. Jimmy goes out in the hall. Now let's fight it out.
General, tell me what the relevance of this witness's knowledge of Ms. Swift's activities. What's the relevance of that, you think, or submit?
Your Honor, he is going to testify that Mr. Swift told him about some of the same incidents that you've heard about. He's going to testify about the fact that Mr. Swift was upset about the way that his wife was behaving. He didn't like it, that he wanted this perfect marriage, as he just told you about. Your Honor, it's all relevant to the things that are happening. These are things that are building up over a period of time. It's not like he just snapped all at once. This is we're trying to build a timeline. We're trying to show that things developed over a period of time.
What do you say to that?
Judge, I try my best to follow Tennessee rules of evidence, and the prosecutor is asking open, vague questions. There has been a lot of testimony already about how they interacted, that the jury has heard, and how they got along, and that they had problems in their marriage. Over my objection, Mr. Swift's statements were introduced into evidence, and so they've heard from that, and they were long statements. But the relevance part, a hearsay exception, to get up and go through a person's character, asking open-ended, vague questions, they need to be specific questions that have to do with hearsay exceptions. And I object to it, Judge. And I'm trying not to overly object, but I have to do my job. Otherwise, we'll be here for 3 weeks with the jury.
It's going to be for the way we're doing.
All right, I'm not. Listen, gentlemen, it's too late in the day, and we're not going to carpet one another today, tomorrow, or 4 weeks from now if we're still here. I don't want to hear it.
Judges deciding how to rule on this?
The state has put on a substantial amount of proof of these particular facts. That is, Ms. Swift's alleged activities, Mr. Swift's alleged dissatisfaction with those activities. And I'm speaking only to those two areas at the moment there. It seems like we're replowing the same ground over and over. We're not on a timeline. You have a number of witnesses that are testifying in those two particular areas, and I'm concerned that we're just accumulating the same degree of evidence. And I'm not talking about any other part of the examination other than that. And it concerns me that you're getting past the point of it being anything other than just a presentation of cumulative evidence under 403 there.
Looks like he's siding with the defense.
Frankly, I don't know at the moment what I want to do about it. We're going to take a quick recess. I'm going to go down and think about it a little bit.
All right.
The judge is perplexed. I can tell you, I wasn't very happy with some of the decisions he made previously, specifically in limiting the ability of the witnesses' statements from coming in. I realized where the law stands on there, and he's probably, erred on the side of caution. But let's see if this works here. Not quite. Let's see. There we go. Judge just stepped off the bench for a moment, so we're going to skip through this because we can. He's either consulting the law books or phoning a friend for help. Or maybe both. I think if he shuts this down, it would really hurt the state's ability to build that framework and realize this is a circumstantial evidence case. I think you need to allow a considerable amount of case building, of narrative building, to connect the dots with the circumstantial evidence situation that he's faced with. Wow, this took almost all the evening. They definitely didn't get through the 3 witnesses they wanted to. Here we go. There we go. And we're back. Nope, we're not back. Why did it do that? Okay. There we go. Now we're back.
Helen, are you able to find the last question that Mr. Goodman asked the witness? Is there a way for you to...
He's asking the court recorder if she has a transcript. No? Not able to do that?
Yes, for the moment.
So he's gone and thought it over for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. The judges said we're off the record. That's why the mic just went quiet. See when the cameraman gets daring enough to turn it back on. Welcome, Frosty Jen. I realized that you were a little behind when I saw some of the comments, the order they came in. I'm sorry we missed you singing for the birthday, but glad you're live with us now. Oh man, courtrooms have changed so much. Think of OJ. Hi, Lisa. She's like, at this point, just flip a coin. Make a decision and get on with it, right?
There have been a series of objections to the examination of Mr. Hancock, as well as some of the other witnesses. There are a couple of things at play here. The last question that I believe Mr. Hancock was asked was whether or not Mr. Swift had talked to him about some of the things his wife was doing. Tell me about that, or tell me some of that. At this point, the court finds that additional testimony with respect to that Ms. Swift's activities coming in through Mr. Swift is cumulative. The state has put on ample evidence of Ms. Swift's activities, as has the defense in cross-examination of the witnesses there. And so the objection to that question with respect to this witness and future witnesses is going to be sustained. The witnesses are not going to be permitted to discuss, generally speaking, what Mr. Swift has told them about Mrs. Swift's activities. There's ample evidence in the record there. But in addition, the state has been asking, or has asked Mr. Hancock specifically to either opine or discuss the defendant's reputation. What kind of fellow is he? You know, elaborate on that. And the court thinks that is not an appropriate question there. Testimony has already been received with respect to the defendant's interaction with Mrs. Swift in response to her alleged activities. And so here's the line for guidance. And you may need some time to think about what I'm about to tell you. Here's where the line is these witnesses, in my view, can be asked about what Mr. Swift's reaction was, or how he treated Mrs. Swift in response to her alleged activities. because I think that's probably simply a matter of fact, as opposed to a question about what is this witness's assessment of Mr. Swift's personality and the appropriateness of his behavior and activities, and that the court is not going to permit there. Nor will how Mr. Swift treated co-workers or other persons, unless it is a direct response to some activity or activities of Mrs. Swift. So it may be muddy in the water, but we've got to stay within the guidelines here, and that's where I'm setting the guideline. Now, with that in mind, if you need some time to regroup or think about how this affects your examination of your witnesses, I'm fully prepared to adjourn for the day.
I'm ready to go forward.
And ready to do that. Okay.
That
Okay.
is a
Well, let's get
huge
Mr.
ruling.
Hancock in and move on. Well, we need a jury too, I guess.
Well, juries help.
I'm ready for him.
That's a huge ruling that really, really hurts the state. Basically, they can't get any more evidence about the problems in the marriage. And
All rise. I'll tell you right now. I'm sorry, man. All right, let's have a seat. All right, let's have Mr. Hancock back, please.
by the way, Samantha Terry, thank you very much for this. I've updated my list as well. Appreciate that. Extremely helpful. I can only watch so many things at once. You know?
Come on back up, sir. Have a seat. Mr. Hancock, you're still under oath, sir, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Mr. Hancock, did David Swift tell you that his wife had filed for divorce?
Yes.
What was his reaction to that?
That she had filed for divorce?
Yes. How did he react to her filing for divorce?
So he called me that morning and told me that Karen and the girls were somewhere else, and Karen had called and told him she left a note for him to go and get the note, and it had information about the things that she wanted in a divorce, and to go and pick up the divorce paperwork I don't remember the attorney's name, but to pick up the divorce paperwork. He was calm. He didn't want a divorce, but he was calm. That's what I remember.
Okay. Did he tell you why he didn't want a divorce?
David loved his family. He had talked to me about growing up not having that family, so his family was very important to him. And he did not want to be away from his girls.
Okay. So was he upset about the fact that he may lose his family, or it may be broken apart?
I mean, I think there was some apprehension, but I think he felt that he could manage the situation.
Okay. Do you know anything about Mr. Swift's financial situation at that time?
Well, at that time, I knew what his salary was and bonus and things like that. Yes, sir.
Do you know what his salary was?
No, that was 13 years ago.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I wouldn't know either.
Magic 13.
Did he tell you whether or not he planned to leave the house?
He said that he did not plan to leave the house.
Okay, regardless of the fact that a divorce had been filed.
Yes, he mentioned to me he wanted to be there for the girls, and he said something about possession being 9/10 of the law or something, because there would be Karen asked for the house.
Okay. Did Mr. Swift call you on the day that Karen went missing?
Yes.
Okay. And was he upset about the fact that Bill Bona had called the police before him?
He was concerned, so Kathy called him, and at least that's what I remember. Kathy called him to ask him if he knew where Karen was, and I think she questioned why he had not called the police himself, and So David and I were kind of like, that was not unusual for Karen not to come home. So at that point, there was no reason for David to be upset or be concerned.
Okay. Did you talk to Mr. Swift about the last time that he saw Karen?
Thanks for the super chat.
Yes.
What did he tell you about that night, the last night that he saw her?
So I remember him saying, Karen picked up Ashley. They came home. They went to bed downstairs. He and Keely were upstairs. I think after Ashley went to sleep, Karen got up to leave to go back to the party. And he was at the top of the stairs. He saw her, and he went to bed, and she left.
Okay. So he said he saw her when she was leaving the house?
They spoke as she was leaving the house, yes.
Okay. Did he ask her where she was going?
We didn't get that much in depth about the entire conversation, but he just acknowledged that she was leaving the house and he went to bed. That's what I remember.
He saw her leave and he went back to bed?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he tell you anything about Karen's flat tire?
I found out about the flat tire later.
Did he tell you anything about it?
He told me when they found the car, there was a flat tire.
Did he say anything else about it?
I don't remember any other discussion about the tire.
Okay. Did he ever tell you anything about whether he went looking for Karen?
I think he did leave to go after he talked to the bonus.
Okay. All right. Thanks, sir.
I don't know why the state called this guy. He's clearly a defense witness.
Good evening, Mr. Hancock.
Good evening.
Just a few questions.
Okay.
You worked with David Swift for a number of years at Tenaris.
Yes, sir.
All right. In 2011, and do you recall David Swift being injured?
Yes.
All right. Just before his wife went missing, do you recall him being injured?
Being re-injured?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And was that a week or so before you learned that his wife went missing?
No, I think it was a little more than a week before his wife went missing.
All right. But during the time that his wife went missing, were you aware that he had an injury to his knee?
Yes, I went to the doctor with him.
Okay. Did you observe him wearing on crutches at times? Did you observe him during this time frame with
Yes.
a immobilizer on his left knee?
Yes.
And did you go with him to see the doctor after he re-injured himself?
Yes.
All right. And that was Dr. Yeo?
Yes.
And the doctor, you're aware, you were interviewed and gave a statement. Did you say David went back on crutches in late October? I know it's been a long time, and I can show
No,
you.
it was before October. This happened in October. It had to be late August or September.
That's what you recall. It's been a long, yes or no, sir? You have to say something out loud
okay.
for the record.
So what was the question?
That's what you recall now.
Yes.
But it's been a long time since you talked to the investigators. It's since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, in 2013, didn't they talk to you?
So they would call me periodically over the years just to check in. So I've talked to them many times.
Right. But I'm trying to save time. At the time David's wife went missing, did you come back at least once?
Yes.
Okay. Was David's leg re-injured at that time?
Yes.
And was he using crutches and an immobilizer at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And the prosecutor asked you about the call of Miss Bona, and you testified about what you recalled. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, and it's your recollection that Miss Bona called David.
Yes.
And David didn't call her first.
No, David, it's not my recollection that he called her.
Right. But are you absolutely sure of that?
Yes.
Okay. That's what you recall now?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible you might be incorrect about that?
No.
Okay. Did you, I guess, go to a vigil?
Yes.
At David Swift's house for Karen Swift?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a candlelight ceremony after she was missing some days afterwards?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Redirect? Sir, you can sit down. We've run way late. I know you got 2 witnesses, but I think we're just going to have to take them up in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop here for the day.
That's what we missed.
Let me ask you again. I hope you have a great evening, number one. Number two, let me ask you again and tell you that you should not discuss this case with each other or with anybody else. You understand that? I know that you do. Do not speak with the attorneys, the defendant, the news media, anybody else who approaches you to talk about the case. Do not form or express an opinion about the case to anyone at this time. We have not completed the proof. You've not heard the instructions of law. Again, you know that there are multiple reports, media reports out there. The trial is being streamed. You're not permitted to listen to, watch, review, or look at any comments about that. You should not post anything on social media or any other internet site about this trial or about your service as a juror. And for the third day, I ask you, help me to protect the integrity of this trial so that we decide this case, you decide this case solely on the evidence that is presented in the courtroom. There. If anybody approaches you, I would ask that you let me know about that tomorrow morning there. All right, I'll see you tomorrow at 8:15 in the morning. Okay, have a very good evening. All right.
And he gone. All right.
All right, we'll be adjourned till 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 sharp.
There we go. All right, so now we get to pick up where we left off with this trial. Let's see. I think we're waiting. Let's see. Have they started yet? No, I think they have started. Just 1 second. All right. We're a few minutes back. I think we're about half an hour back. We'll be on speed watch until less than half an hour. That's close. Okay, we'll be caught up here in no time. Waiting for audio. We always have these little glitches. We can hear the buzz, but not the mics. I'm blaming the cameraman. Vigil before she was found deceased. That's what it sounds like, Squidward.
Anything we need to take up before we bring jury in? You ready with your next witness? Yes. Anything you know of we need to take up before we bring jury on?
Oh, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. We're ready. When they're ready.
All rise.
All right, let's all be seated. Good morning, folks. How are you this morning? All right, I'm going to look at everybody. Tell me you're okay or not okay, up or down or silent. Okay, good to see you all this morning. When you all come into the courtroom, you can sit down. We're standing up for you all. You don't have to stand up for anybody in this trial. Okay, that's kind of the way it goes. Let me ask you this: did everybody follow and obey the instructions that have been given to you? Has anybody been approached in connection with the trial? Okay. Any problems at all? Everybody's feeling good today? Okay. Looks like we're ready to go. Gentlemen, call your next witness.
hope you do.
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Sir, your name is Gary Bolden?
Yes.
Okay, and were you asked to examine a tire related to this case?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get into that, can we go begin by you telling the jury your educational background?
Yes. I received a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering in 1971 from the University of Akron.
Okay. How long a program was that?
It's a 5-year program consisting of course, the educational material as well as on-the-job training.
Okay. Would you tell us about your career in the field of tire technology?
Yes. I've been in the tire industry for about 43 years. I started back in 1970 with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company as a quality control engineer. And in that position, I was responsible for checking machine setups, material accuracy, and examining the finished product for defects. I became familiar with all of the operations in the manufacturing process of tires in that position.
Okay, and after you left Goodyear, where did you go?
Well, after I left Goodyear, I also had a couple other responsibilities with Goodyear. I was also a quality control engineer on the corporate staff. In that position, I was responsible for monitoring the quality programs in the various manufacturing plants around the country. I would escort our customers that would come in and they would want to monitor our quality systems in the various production plants. So I would accompany them and help them through that. And I would also process quality data that came in from the plants for upper management.
Okay.
After that, I was transferred to Kelly Springfield in Freeport, Illinois. Kelly Springfield was a subsidiary of Goodyear. And in that position, I was a quality control engineer in the plant. So I was responsible for taking care of all of the quality checks that were made in the plant. I also developed quality check systems for a new technology that was coming online, such as X-ray. We would sample tires and actually X-ray them. So I developed the standards for looking at those X-rays to determine whether a tire was good or bad. Also, we had machinery that would actually measure the force variation in the tire as it was mounted on a rim and running inflated. And that was new technology, and I also helped in developing those standards as well. After that, I was transferred to the Kelly Springfield corporate headquarters in Cumberland, Maryland. I was there for 13 years in various positions. Primarily, the one that was most important to me was when I started getting into failure analysis of tires. And in that capacity, I was trained to identify failure mechanisms and modes, and I would also actually examine tires that were involved in litigation.
Can I stop you 1 second? Can you explain what failure mechanisms and modes are for the jury?
Yes, there are tires fail for many different causes, and so the most common failure mode would be run flat or over deflected operation. And that's where a tire would actually lose inflation pressure while it's in operation and either blow out or just go flat. So I would have to examine the tire to see what caused the loss of air pressure.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought that was a foreign term that they might like to hear a little bit more about. Would you please continue about your experience?
Yeah, and there are other failure modes as well. Mounting incidents where a tire is overinflated to seat the beads on the rim, and the tire can actually explode and cause serious injury or even death.
Yes, sir.
So then I went to the corporate headquarters in Cumberland, Maryland. I was there for 13 years, and that was the primary position that I enjoyed the most and which I continued in for basically the rest of my career in the industry. After that, I transferred back to the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company as a quality contact engineer. In that position, I was working with several original equipment customers to deal with any quality issues that they had with our product.
Were those car manufacturers?
Yes, they would be car manufacturers. Honda, BMW, Audi. There were several. Teledyne, which is a truck manufacturer.
Teledyne makes.
I would help them if they had any issues with our product, and we would examine or delve into the issues that they had. If they had to go to the manufacturing plants, we would do that and try to resolve any of those issues.
These are the best videos if you ever watched them.
After you were in quality assurance in Goodyear, did you stay with Goodyear?
Yes, I continued with them, and I went into as a principal engineer in product analysis, and in that I was solely dedicated to examining tires involved in litigation, property damage or personal injury that occurred with our product, with the Goodyear tire.
So he was the defense of the tire expert.
Report on them, and if it went to trial or into litigation, I would assist the attorneys, explain them the causes and so forth of the issue, and help them, and then I would also testify in court.
Okay. Did you ultimately retire from Goodyear?
Yes, I retired from Goodyear with 30 years of service, and I went to an independent test lab, Standards Testing Labs.
And what were your responsibilities at the testing lab?
My responsibilities there were essentially the same as when I left Goodyear, but with the added experience of delving into testing and trying to replicate failures that occurred in the field. So that was a very interesting and challenging aspect of my employment. We also got into the vehicle controllability studies. We were actually able to prepare tires to fail in the same mode that they occurred in an accident. We could have them throw a tread and belt at a predetermined speed, put them on a replicate vehicle, and demonstrate that the tire was, or that the vehicle was controllable after the failure.
And in all these testing procedures that you performed over the years, did you test tires that had encountered road hazards?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. So in your position at Standard Testing Lab, were you asked to examine the tire in this case?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, back up. I said that a little too early. Have you ever qualified as an expert in court and testified as an expert in tire technology?
Yes.
Do you know about how many times?
In court, I would estimate, well, I've been retired now for over 10 years, so it's a long time ago. But I would estimate maybe 40 times in court, either federal court or state court in a number of states. I've testified in California, Alaska, Pennsylvania,
They hired
Florida,
this guy 10 years ago? He's been billing
New
the whole
Jersey,
time?
Ohio, and I'm sure there are others. Texas.
Yes, sir. Tender the witness for daughter to defense.
Yes, just a question or two. Good morning, Mr. Bolden.
Good morning.
Are you an engineer?
Yes.
Do you know what a professional engineer is?
Yes.
Are you a professional engineer?
No.
Could you explain the difference between a professional engineer and an engineer?
Well, an engineer is anybody that has gone through engineering studies in a secondary education, college. A professional engineer is one that is actually certified by a state entity.
Does it involve a rigorous accreditation for a professional engineer?
There is an accreditation process. I'm not really familiar with it.
Okay. You've not been through that accreditation?
No, there really isn't an accreditation or a professional classification for tire engineers.
But you're familiar with the term, or the professional engineer, or a PE?
Yes.
And that's a designation that is different than engineer?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
State tenders the witness as an expert for the purpose of giving opinion in the field of tire technology, Your Honor.
You will be heard on that, Mr. Travis.
That's all I have. No objection.
Okay. The court will accept witness as an expert. Tell me again specifically the field that you...
My understanding is tire technology.
Is that fair characterization, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Sir, I'm having the bailiff hand you a document on... Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking the bailiff to hand you a document and ask you if you recognize any signatures on that page, sir.
Yes, that's my signature.
Can you tell the jury what that document is?
It's a notice of receipt of a tire and wheel. I believe it's the tire and wheel that's involved in this case.
Yes, sir. Did you examine any other tires on behalf of Dyer County Sheriff's Office?
No.
Okay. Ask to make that exhibit to his testimony, Your Honor.
Exhibit.
Yes.
The state is slowly leaking this testimony to the jury.
I'm getting no ideas on that.
Okay, what were you hired to do regarding the tire in this case, Mr. Bolden?
As with any tire that would come into our facility, I was responsible for examining the tire, doing a completely non-destructive examination of the tire, and to establish why the tire failed.
Okay. Can you go over the first one? Would you describe the tire that was delivered to you? And we are putting up photographs for your
It was round and it was flat.
You want to illustrate?
Yeah, it was a Michelin cross-terrain size P235 65 R18
with white balls,
and it was it had the serial number, if I can find it. Yeah, serial number AP6J5PXX3708, which means it was manufactured in Oklahoma, Ardmore, Oklahoma, by Michelin Tire Company, and the 37th week of.
Hang on, those numbers mean something.
Excuse me, can you look again at that? You sure it's 1978, sir?
1970, 1976?
2008, I'm sorry. 2008, I'm sorry.
Okay. Please just describe for the jury your examination process of the tire.
Okay. It's basically all non-destructive. I would take the tire under highlighting, examine all the surfaces, do a visual and tactile examination. Tactile by meaning I would run my hands over it, examine all the surfaces of the tire on the exterior and interior of the tire, and then look at any conditions in the tire that I would deem abnormal or unusual.
Okay. Did you start with perhaps assigning or aligning the tire and inspecting it from there?
Yes. First, I would identify the tire on the sidewalls by marking it with clock positions.
Okay.
Where I would take the serial number, designate that as 12 o'clock, and then have 3, 6, and 9 as if you were looking at a clock face. Then on the opposite side of the tire, I would mark it the same way, except the clock face would be in reverse, so that positions on the serial and non-serial side would correspond.
Okay. Would you look at can you see that?
Yes.
Can you describe what we're seeing there?
Good morning, Thal. Good to have you here.
Yeah, I think that's the serial number. Yes, that's the serial number.
Okay. And what clock number did you assign on the serial number?
12 o'clock.
Okay.
About this screen over here.
Oh, yes, it is. Thank you.
Can you see better with this one as opposed to that?
Actually better with that one.
Okay. Okay. What did you examine the tread on this tire?
Yes. I would also designate the tread, which is the surface of the tire that actually comes in contact with the pavement. And in this, I think it was a 5-rib design. And what we're looking at right there is the shoulder.
Cameraman, you got one job. We've got to see these pictures. Can't expect us just to listen to testimony of a tire. He's got a laser.
It doesn't show on the screen, does it?
we can see it.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay, but it's there. It is. Yeah, you can barely see it. That's the rib 5, and my comments on that were that there were abrasions over the shoulder on rib 5.
Thank you.
On both the trailing and leading edges.
So is there any significance of those abrasions, sir?
Well, yes. Those are abrasions that would not normally occur if the tire was operating in a proper condition. It comes as a result of being underinflated or running flat.
Okay. The next one. Did you find any abnormalities in the tire that you would not expect to find normally in a tire?
I didn't see any design or manufacturing defects at all. Everything seemed to be properly made and designed and fabricated. But one thing I did observe was a screw that was in groove number 3 at the 10:45 clock position.
Okay, and where, in relation to the tread surface, was this screw?
Well, the screw was slightly below the tread surface.
Okay. And does that have any significance to you in your examination?
Yes. When a object punctures the tire in the tread area, it will actually rebound as it goes through the tire because of the elastic nature and the structure of the tire. That object will actually rebound slightly and be above the tread surface. There's no way to get below the tread surface because the tread ribs on either side prevent the thing from going lower than the ribs.
Okay. Did the serial sidewall exhibit any kind of distortions?
Yes, the serial sidewall, we have that picture.
There.
Okay, there. That is actually the bead area. You see a lot of rubber crumbs and abrasion near the bead, and some heat discoloration, which is that kind of bluish color that you can see in the photograph.
What does heat discoloration signify to you, if anything?
Well, it's a discoloration that's caused by high temperatures, which would not normally occur in the tire, and the way that occurs is either with friction or over deflection, which generates heat.
What is over deflection, sir?
Over deflection is when a properly inflated tire, when it's mounted and loaded, will have just a slight bulge in the sidewall where it contacts the pavement. That's normal. But if the air pressure gets low, that bulge becomes more extreme. So instead of being like this, it would collapse like that. And so you get more flexing in the tire structure, and that flexing generates heat. And that heat in turn causes the oils in the rubber compounds to come to the surface, creating that bluish coloration.
Yes, sir. Did you notice anything about the balance weight impressions with this tire?
Let's see. There were, I think, 2 balance weight impressions.
Was there a wheel flange impression?
Well, there were two balance weight impressions on the serial side bead at one at 230 and one at 245.
Now, is that what we're seeing here, sir?
They're right, yeah, there's one right there.
Okay.
And then there's a second one right there. And those balance weight impressions actually occur from the balance weight that is clipped to the wheel flange of the wheel. And they press against, actually the tire is mounted on the wheel flange and presses against that clip, and it leaves an impression in the tire.
Is that significant in this case?
Well, not particularly, but you would expect perhaps a more definite or deeper impression than we see here because of the damage in the tire.
I'm going to give extra points to the defense attorney if instead of making an ask and answered objection.
Yes, you can also see
objection retread.
There are abrasions in the sidewall, but there's also the heat discoloration in the lower sidewall, right through there.
Is that the bluish tint that we see?
That is the bluish tint, and that also is generated from over deflection.
Okay. Go to the next one. Were you able to examine the inner casing of the tire?
Yes.
Okay. Did that yield any information to you?
Definitely. This is damage that occurred from running completely flat. In other words, all of the air pressure in the tire was gone, so that the sidewall is actually, if you look at the bulge in the sidewall, it would actually collapse. So those two surfaces are rubbing together as it rolls through the contact patch on the pavement.
Now, can you point out the run flat damage that we're seeing in this picture?
Well, yeah, it's pretty obvious to see the.
It's the massive holes.
Like an oblong area there, and then one at the bottom of the photograph. That what actually has occurred there is the inner liner. Now, the inner liner is a specially compounded component of the tire that, if you're as old as I am, you remember when we had to have tubes in tires. Well, a long time ago, they went to tubeless tires, so you don't need a tube because you have an inner liner that's specially compounded in the inner surface of the tire, so it prevents air from migrating out of the tire and into the tire structure and out to the atmosphere. So that has been torn away and abraded away from the running, totally collapsed, and it's actually exposing the first ply cords. The skim stock, which is the rubber that coats the reinforcing plies, the ply cords, has been abraded away as well. So you can actually see ply cords in there and in there.
Do you have an estimate based on the damage you saw to the tire you see on the screen here, how far that tire had been driven while the tire was without air while it was flat?
Well, it wouldn't take very long.
These are funny.
With a totally collapsed tire, you can create that kind of damage in
about a quarter mile,
in less than a mile.
There you go.
Okay, and once the inner lining is damaged like that, what does that do to the total integrity of the tire structure?
Well, once that inner liner is stripped away, there's no way that the tire can operate. If for some reason you would try to remount that tire in that condition, the air pressure would actually go directly into the tire casing. The ply cords, which are polyester cables, acts as a conduit for the air, the pressurized air, to get into the structure of the tire, and the tire would if you reinflated it, you would have multiple leaks because of small cuts and so forth that occurred in normal operation of the tire. You would have to actually have air escaping in numerous places around the tire.
That one, yes. Can you tell us what we're seeing here, sir?
Yes, that's on the interior surface of the tire where the screw actually penetrated the tire casing.
Does the orientation of the screw in the tire have any significance to you, sir?
Yes, it does. It was oriented in a perpendicular to the tire tread.
Can you explain to us what that means?
So if you look at a tire and you look at, say this is the tread surface, the nail went in, straight in through the tire and penetrated the other side. So it went in a straight fashion like that.
What damage, if any, did this screw cause to the tire?
Well, of course, it created a localized breach of the liner. But the nature of a tubeless tire, because of its structure, will tend to seal around any kind of a puncturing object temporarily. As the tire would continue in service by repeated contact with the pavement, the puncturing object would start to rock back and forth as it passed through the footprint of the tire. And that would actually wear, eventually causing a leak. And as use continued, that leak would increase as the hole got larger.
Now, would that happen in this case? Because you told us earlier that the screw head was beneath the tread.
Yes, you would still have contact with the pavement because you can actually see the head of the screw has road abrasion on it. Yes. Yes, there is actually road abrasion on that screw. It's not extensive, but it's there, and you can actually see where it is actually chipped away a little bit of the edge of that adjacent rib right there. So as it goes through the footprint, it will actually have slight movement. And I would say that at say 40 miles an hour, that screw would pass through the footprint of the tire 8 times per second. So it doesn't take very long for additional damage to occur.
Okay. Now I was going to ask you that. Can you have any estimate from how far that tire had been driven with the screw in it based on the damage you see to the screw head?
Yeah, I would say it was less than a mile, for sure.
And after you did your physical examination of the tire and wheel, did you have some conclusions as to the damage the tire sustained?
Yes. My first conclusion was that there were no defects in manufacturing of the tire.
Why is that important to ascertain first?
That's because I work for the tire company.
You have to establish that so that you can't blame the manufacturer of the tire for the failure.
See, that's his job.
Do you have other conclusions?
Yes. My second conclusion was that the tire actually didn't fail. It ran flat. In a normal puncture and over deflection failure, the tire will actually blow out. The structure of the tire will actually fail and expel the remaining air pressure explosely.
Is that what you
didn't
call
happen here.
A blowout?
Yes, this would be commonly called a blowout. This didn't occur. And actually, I recently saw a photograph of the vehicle.
Hey, don't point that thing at us.
With showing the failed tire.
He's going to blind us.
I'm handing you a photograph which has previously been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit, part of State's Exhibit 1. Is this the photo you're referring to, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and what does that photo signify to you, or what does it tell you about the tire in service?
Well, what happened was, because of the complete collapse of the tire on itself, there was no air pressure left in it. So it actually unseated from the outside wheel flange.
Can you demonstrate that to the jury as best you can?
Yes, as you can see, it came loose from the wheel, from the outside, which means that in the operation of the vehicle, the stresses that were exerted on the tire actually pulled the tire off the seating portion of the rim.
Would there be any kind of extraordinary driving maneuvers necessary to cause that?
Well, that would occur in a left-hand turn. This was on the right front of the vehicle. So in a left-hand turn, all of the stresses are on the right side of the vehicle. So it would tend to push the tire off of the rim.
Okay. In your opinion, did the screw in this tire cause it to lose the air pressure you've described?
No, I don't think so.
Would you explain your conclusion?
Well, because of the condition of the material around the screw in this tire, there was no evidence that the screw had worked and created a severe enough leak. It would probably be a very minor leak at first, and it never got beyond that stage.
Do you have an opinion how long it would have taken this puncture of the tire with the screw to cause the deflation that we've seen on the tire?
I would say probably 20, 30 miles.
Okay. Let's get back to this screw being, you said, oriented perpendicularly. Do you have an opinion whether it's possible for a screw to have entered the tire, or a screw to enter a tire while in service in that perpendicular fashion?
In my opinion, it's not possible.
Okay. Do you have a way of demonstrating that to the jury?
Yes, if I could draw a picture.
Oh, no. I was hoping he brought a hammer.
Absolutely.
And a tire. Although I do like his attire. That tie looks really good.
Beg pardon? Yes.
Cameraman is scrambling. He's like, look, I thought I had everything covered with my preset camera positions, and now you're bringing in a whiteboard. I'm not ready for this. I do not know what's going on. I was hoping for a Hot Wheel track. Can you imagine an expert coming in and demonstrating something with Hot Wheels? That would be, Mattel would just be like, oh, we made it. Matthew Harris, do you have any sort of court case where you could demonstrate like an intentional car accident in a divorce suit or something with Hot Wheels? Thank you, Fair Chair. I don't wear this one a lot. So now, not only can we not see, but we cannot hear. Bailiff can see and hear. As you roll forward, go in this direction. He's drawn a picture of a nail pointing straight up and a tire rolling onto it and saying if you roll forward, the nail would not go in at a 90-degree angle. It wouldn't go in flat like it did. It would be sort of at an angle, which in reverse would be like tangent to the curve, right? Can't go straight in.
In your demonstration, you have the nail.
So all of you who have had a straight-in nail in your tire, apparently you're the victim of sabotage.
So actually, to get a penetration, you have to have it standing upright in some fashion or other. Even if this were tilted, as you roll over it, it would flatten down. So it has to catch the tire in a way so that it actually forces, as the tire rolls over the object, it actually has to force it into the tire.
If there were a crevice of some sort that the nail had, or the screw had rested in, would that be possible to cause the perpendicular?
No, there just isn't any way, even if it was in some other orientation. The other way would be to just flatten the tire, flatten the object out, or flip it one way or the other. It has to be proved erect in the pavement to actually pierce the tire.
How about objects that maybe are bouncing on the road or something like that? If an object had been maybe a previous vehicle had run over it and caused it to come up off the road in some manner, do you have an opinion as to whether that could come in?
Well, bouncing around, you have to have the tire pressing it against a stationary object. You can't, it's flying through the air, it's not going to do anything.
Is that the end of your illustration?
Well, the other thing that I'd like to comment on is the fact that it's unusual for a screw to penetrate the tire in the crown area. The reason I say that is that there are so many components in the tire crown or the tire tread. If you look at here, we have the picture of the.
Let's let the witness get back on the stand to make sure we're picking up everything there.
Sure.
You want the tread with the screw in it?
No, I want the run flap damage.
That was deafening.
Which will be the interior. There. So here you can see these ply cords, and there's some here that you may be able to see. But those ply cords run in a radial direction. And if I could maybe show you, they run straight up the sidewall. In other words, my hands are the sidewall of the tire. So the ply cords would run straight up the sidewall and across and down the other sidewall. So you would have ply cables that are polyester cables that you can see that are exposed there. There are 2 layers of those in this tire, 2 layers of ply cables. Then in the tread area that's on the top, there are 2 layers of steel belts. And those are steel cables that are similar in appearance to the ply cables, but they're made of steel cables. And those are arrayed in a diagonal. In other words, if this is the tread up here, the one steel belt would come in at an oblique angle like this. The second steel belt would come in at an oblique angle like that. So you have this crisscross reinforcement in the tread area. Then there's another layer on top of that, which is an overlay made of polyamide, which is a synthetic cable similar to nylon or polyester, but it's extremely strong. And it would run circumferentially around the tire. So you have 2, 4, 5 layers of reinforcement in the tread area of the tire, which makes it really difficult for a screw that has threads on it to pierce all of that material. Now, I have seen screws pierce, at the edge where those belts and overlays are not there. They can go through the ply cords, but it's very difficult for a screw to penetrate the crown.
Thank you, sir. In your 40-plus year career in tire technology, have you ever encountered a puncturing object that was in service that entered at that perpendicular angle that you've discussed?
Hang on just a second, sir. I think our board is
blocking the view
in between part of the
hiccups.
Jury panel
out of nowhere.
and the witness. If you can slip it back just a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me know.
I'm going to do a quick poll on this.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, Mr. Walton, I was asking you about in your 40 years of experience and doing all of this testing you did for Goodyear and then in Standards Lab, did you ever encounter a puncturing object that actually entered a tire perpendicularly?
I recall one other time.
And would you describe the circumstances of that examination?
Well, that was in a case in Alaska where a person had actually used a ramset device, which is a device that's used in the construction industry. Just consists of a long shaft. You can load a nail in the end of it and put an explosive charge in it, strike it with a hammer, and it will drive a nail in whatever and it's used primarily for driving nails in concrete. But he had used that type of device to put it into a tire, and that was confirmed in trial.
Okay. Imagine, if you would, if the screw, go back to the screw in the tire, screw head. Okay, could you imagine a situation where a screw entered the tire in service like this, and the screw head was, as you described before, was forced above the tread surface, where it ran over an object, perhaps a pebble or a stone, that could have forced the screw head beneath the tread surface?
Well, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say extremely improbable.
Is there any evidence of that in this examination?
Well, no, because what would happen is, first you would have to have, all the stars align. You would have to have a stone that would be shaped in such a way that it would land exactly on the top of that screw and not be too big, because if it bridged the beads or the ribs of the tread, it couldn't push it down below the tread surface. Secondly, if it were contacted in such a fashion and it had the right size and configuration, there would be a witness mark on the screw, and there's no such evidence here. And there's no such evidence around the screw that there are any contact with stones or anything of that nature.
Okay. Do you have an opinion on how this particular screw was inserted into the tire you examined?
It was screwed in as you would normally screw a tire in any material.
Can you explain your conclusion to the jury, please?
Who normally screws in a tire?
If you look at the interior surface, we have the interior view of the screw.
Interior of the screw, huh?
Okay, you can see that the inner liner conforms perfectly around the shank of the screw. If the screw were pushed in as if it were pushed in service, as the screw would penetrate the tire structure, it would cause material to go with those, because of the threads in the screw. It would cause the material that's displaced to come up and kind of mushroom out around the screw head, or around the screw shank, where it actually penetrated the tire.
Now, we're only seeing one side of the screw. Is it possible that there's this damage that you are describing on the other side of the screw?
That was, it's uniform all the way around the shank, and it's difficult to photograph inside a tire all the way around the object, because there's just no clearance to get a camera in there.
Okay. Mr. Bowen, I'd like you to assume for a second that someone were to take a similar tire to the one you examined, and they used wooden blocks inside the tire to prop it up, so to speak, and then they hammered a screw into the tire. Would that be a real-life recreation of a tire in service?
No.
Would you explain why not?
Well, when a tire is actually in service, it's inflated, and the typical inflation pressure on a tire like this would be 32, maybe 35 psi. So every square inch of that tire's interior surface has 35 pounds pushing out. Okay, and if you put wooden blocks in an uninflated tire, the tire, when the tire is inflated, all of the components in that tire, all the reinforcing, the plies, the belts, and so forth, they're all stressed uniformly. When it's uninflated, there's no stress on those reinforcing components. So if you take just wooden blocks and underneath and try to pound a screw in through the tread, it doesn't replicate at all what would occur in service. Plus, you're taking several hammer strikes, I'm assuming, to get through the tire. So you're going through in a gradual fashion. What would have happened in service, it would be thrust through in one motion completely. So that it would be a totally different situation.
If you believe this witness's testimony, 33% of us have been the victim of a intentional tire screwing or spiking. We've been nailed or screwed. Never mind. Our tires have been damaged intentionally. Because every time a screw or nail goes straight into the tire, never mind, screw it. Scratch all that. It was terrible. I apologize.
scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
Excuse me, what'd you hand him?
Pictures, and I was about to ask him the question.
Prior exhibits or new exhibits?
I'm asking him to identify these photographs, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And can you identify them, sir?
Yes, these are all photos that were taken during my examination.
Are they the photos we've seen today on the screen?
Yes.
Would you make them an exhibit to your testimony?
Pardon me?
Would you make them an exhibit to your testimony?
Yes.
Ask to be state's next exhibit.
They'll be admitted as 21.
Mr. Bolton, are the opinions and conclusions you've given here today, or were they given with a reasonable degree of engineering and scientific certainty?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Yeah, I won't say that.
When I was riding my motorcycle up in the mountains, I was on a skyline ridge along the peaks, and I got I think it was about an 8-inch nail through my rear tire. Way off road, probably 20 miles from home. It went through sideways and did not touch anything. I left it in the road all the way home, pulled it out when I got home.
Mr. Bolden, can you hear me?
Yes,
Never
I
even
can.
had to repair
Everybody
the
else?
tire.
Okay. Looking at what you identified as Exhibit 20, it indicated on 4/3 of 2013 that I guess a receipt for a wheel with tire was given out. This is the correct, I guess, receipt showing that it was taken from the Dyer County Sheriff's Department and sent to you?
It was. I think it was actually hand delivered by someone from the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, and it was in 2013. What the date is on this receipt?
If that's what the date says.
Right. And if the fact is that this occurred in October of 2011, that's almost 2 years later.
Correct.
Okay. Stop there. So somebody drove the tire up to you, or did you come pick it up?
It was delivered to our facility.
Through the mail?
No.
Okay.
It was, I think, an employee of the Sheriff's Department actually drove up and hand delivered it.
Okay. And so the condition of the tire is what you saw in that date in 2013?
Correct.
And if during the time it was taken, October the 30th of 2011, if the condition of the tire had been changed or affected, that would have just been something that occurred. You don't know what happened before you examined the tire, do you?
That's correct.
And if the fact is established that the car in question with this tire was towed or driven any distance at the time, that it could have some effect on the tread or the tubing of the tire.
If that were the case, but I have no knowledge of that.
Right, but you don't know whether it was or not, do you?
That is correct.
You just know the condition in 2013 when you received it.
Correct.
And if the vehicle had been towed several miles to the Dyer County Sheriff's Department, and once it arrived there, if it had been moved or a distance in the parking lot during that year or so, those could be things that would affect the condition of the tire.
Depending on how it was towed, it could.
Or if it was, once it was towed and dropped, whether from the front or back, you don't know, if it was moved in the parking lot, those are things that could possibly affect the condition of the tire.
It could.
Yes. Okay.
A tow truck didn't come pick this up and drag it on the flat tire all the way to the police station.
Just a couple things. The screw that you've identified in the exhibit and on the photographs, it is a screw. It's not a nail.
Correct.
It's what, would you say that's a common, ordinary screw?
I would say fairly common, yes.
It could be found just about anywhere?
I would think so.
There's nothing distinctive about that type of screw, is there?
Not that I know of.
Is there a certain size of the screw or make of the screw that you know of?
The make of the screw?
Of this particular screw?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't.
Inch and a quarter? Drywall screw?
Are there designations like that for screws?
Well, usually, yeah. They're the length of the shaft and the type of thread it is.
Okay. Did you measure it?
Did I measure it?
Yes, sir.
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, if someone said, we saw the screw in the picture, if someone said the screw at the time that the car was found was sticking 1.5 inches or 2 inches out of the tread, would that be correct, or would that be consistent with what you saw when you examined the tire?
I wouldn't think that'd be possible. I don't think the screw is that long.
Okay. You're saying it would be impossible?
Yes, for the screw to be in the tire as it is, yes, it would be impossible.
Okay. So if some witness saw the screw sticking out 1.5 inches or 2 at the time the vehicle was taken, it's possible that if later what you saw is completely almost flat or below the tread, isn't it?
Yes.
It could indicate that it was changed or moved. Is that possible?
I don't think so.
But if the screw was observed as being 1.5 inches or 2 inches out of the tread when they took the tire or when they saw the tire, and what you saw is a lot different, isn't it?
Well, the screw is, I would say the screw is only about 1.5 inches or maybe 1.75 inches long to begin with. So if it was sticking out of the tire that much, it probably wouldn't even have reached the reinforcing materials in the crown of the tire.
Okay. But if it was sticking 1.5 inches or 2 inches out of the tire at the time, would that, and what you examined so much different, could that indicate that it's been the moving or the transportation of the tire in the vehicle could have affected?
The screw doesn't get shorter over time.
This screw was screwed into the tire. It was not pushed through the tire.
Okay. Can I ask, in your report, you had several conclusions.
He keeps trying to say the screw was 1.5 inches sticking out of the tire. The screw is only 1.25 inches long. There's no way it could be 1.5 inches out of the tire. It would be floating in the air over the tire.
You stated that the screw was leaking air around it in your report, didn't you?
I said that I opined that the loss of air pressure was caused by the screw. But that is really inconsistent with the condition of the tire.
Okay. Are you saying the screw was leaking air around it?
Well, it probably was, but not very much.
Dial it back a little bit. We're going off the rails here on chat.
How do you know the screw was leaking air around it?
Like I say, it was. You can't determine that without actually pressurizing the tire.
Well, did you do
but
any?
The fact that it penetrated the structure of the tire, it would probably leak.
But in order to support that conclusion, did you do any air pressure testing to confirm air leakage to support your conclusions?
No, it really wasn't possible to establish that.
So you didn't do any air pressure testing?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, are you saying screws or nails cannot be kicked up in any orientation from like a lead vehicle or a passing vehicle and affect the tire in this manner?
Well, they could kick objects up on the pavement, but unless they're aligned in a specific fashion, they can't pierce the tire.
So are you saying that it could be kicked up by a passing or lead vehicle in relation to this vehicle and either puncture in any way the tire?
Well, those sorts of things can happen, but in this case, that's not what happened.
Okay. And that's your opinion?
Correct.
But you're saying it could happen, but you just don't believe in this case it did?
And hypothetically, in other cases, of course, it could happen. You could have objects all over the road that could eventually pierce a tire, but that's not what happened in this tire. The screw was turned in.
But a lead vehicle or passing vehicle could kick up a screw or nail and puncture a tire?
That's possible.
Okay. And let me ask a couple of other things. Regarding 4A in your report, which is apparent for several reasons the screw has been manually inserted in the tire. The reasons for reaching this conclusion are as follows. The screw is oriented perpendicular to the crown of the tire. Do you have any references that validate that conclusion?
Which conclusion was that?
4A.
4A?
Yes, sir. On page 5. The conclusion that a penetrating object will only puncture the tire at an oblique angle in service.
That's correct.
Do you have any references to support that?
No specific references. It's just I rely on my experience and expertise.
Are there references for such things?
For
periodicals and research?
I'm not aware of any periodical that addresses that issue.
Okay. Are there research materials and published things in this line of your experience?
The only study that I'm aware of was conducted by Brian Quaiser at Firestone Bridgestone, and he did some various types of nails that were run over, but the particular orientation of how they penetrated the tires was I'm not aware that was addressed at all.
Did you look?
I asked him.
Did you look at any other possible source?
No.
Okay. And there are studies in this about tires, aren't there?
Are studies about tires?
Are there studies about different things that affect tires?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. But you didn't consult any of them?
No.
Now, I only saw one photo of the screw through the tire inner liner in your report. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you take any more than that single photo?
No.
To support your conclusion?
No.
Now in 4C, which is on page 5, 4C of your report, it says, let me read it. When a tire is punctured in service, the puncturing object is pushed through the tire, resulting in localized tearing or broaching of the liner at the point of penetration. It's a long paragraph. No such damage has occurred where the screw passed through the inner liner in this tire. Instead, the material surrounding the screw inside the tire conforms perfectly to the screw shank. You stated this can be achieved only by twisting the screw into the tire as one would normally do with a screwdriver. That's you talking about the backside of the screw?
Yes, this is proof
in 4C.
That it was not driving
your photos,
damage.
can you see the backside of the screw?
Not in the photos. As I think I explained earlier, it would be really not possible to photograph that side because it was so close to the sidewall.
But you did take 2 photographs supporting of the screw penetrating the inner liner, didn't you? You did supply in your report 2 photos of the screw penetrating the inner liner.
One from the exterior, one from the exterior.
Okay.
If that's what you're referring to.
But on 4C, there's only one picture. Is that correct?
Well, there's only one picture that depicts that, yes.
Okay. I guess gravel, let me make sure. If it's a paved road with gravel on it, could that affect the penetrating object or the rotation of how the screw went into the tire?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question.
Are you saying that this occurred on pavement or a gravel road?
No, I'm saying that the screw was inserted manually into the tire.
Could that make a difference whether it was one or the other or a pavement with gravel on it, in your opinion?
Well, it's a totally different situation. There's no evidence that this tire was picked up in service.
That this tire was picked up in service?
That the screw was picked up in the tire in service.
Okay. Let me make sure. You estimated, in your opinion, about the distance for the tire to deflate, didn't you?
To deflate?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And what was that distance?
Well, I'm not sure which statement you're referring to, but if you're talking about deflating from this screw?
Yes.
I'd said like 20 or 30 miles, I think.
Okay. And
I take issue with that. that testimony.
How do you know it went 20 or 30 miles? If the vehicle's...
I don't. I'm just estimating that's what it would take for a screw in this condition in the tire to cause a total deflation of the tire.
If the vehicle was just driven 2 or 3 miles and then stopped, can you estimate the time period until the tire deflated?
In that condition, it could take probably days.
One last question. Did you take the same make and model tire and mount it to the same type of rim and do any type of testing to confirm your conclusions?
No, sir.
Okay. Would it have been possible to do that?
I would certainly not recommend it.
Okay.
It's probably possible, but I would not recommend it at all.
Okay. Or to test your theory?
No.
Okay. You're saying it's impossible?
Well, with this tire, if you're talking about this tire that's damaged.
No, I'm talking about obtaining another tire of the same make and model exactly as this tire and mounting it to the same make and model rim, it's not the same one, it's
right.
a duplicate.
Okay.
Did you do that and do any type of testing?
I did not.
Okay. Would it have been possible to do?
It would.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bolden, the defense mentioned research in this area. Have you ever participated in research that was published?
Yes.
Can you tell us about it?
Well, I've written several articles that were published in industry journals having to do with rim grooving, interface tearing, impact damage.
Who reads those journals?
Not many people.
Can you buy them at your local bookstore?
No. It would be circulated throughout the industry.
Okay, and that you mean the tire industry?
Correct.
Okay. Let's go back to the scenario where the witness said that he thought that the screw was sticking out an inch or an inch and a half from the tire. If this particular screw at some point had only been inserted enough that we still have, say, an inch or an inch and a half remaining out, and it were in service, the tire was rolling, describe what you would expect to happen to that screw.
I would expect the screw to be ejected from the tire.
Okay. And you were talking about this screw and the amount of air leakage it had. If someone were in a hurry to deflate this tire, is there another way that tire could be deflated rapidly other than the screw?
Oh, certainly. Just use the tire valve that's on the rim.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. You can step down, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Finally rolled through that testimony.
Right.
First
I
witness.
think we're going to go ahead and take about a 10-minute break.
We're already tired.
There, ladies and gentlemen, once again, don't discuss the case while you're in the jury room. Don't form or express an opinion. Okay. All right. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Then. All right.
Okay, I think we still are on catch up. We might be able to cut this break out. Let me check and see. Looks like we have a little bit of break we can cut out, and then we'll pretty much be caught up. Okay, we've cut out much of the break, and now we're caught up and we're still on break. So that was tiring, and yes, we had a little bit of innuendo occurring in chat. So thanks for backing down a little bit on that. Did a little reversing as we went a little too far down that road. Just a tad bit. Did we really? Some of you who've been timed out, acting all innocent. All right. Interesting testimony. Basically, all we heard from this is that this gentleman used to be an expert for the tire company, and his job was to go to court and tell people that it wasn't the tire company's fault. And that's what he did for 30 or 40 years. And then now he's, with that expertise, he's now independent tire expert. And out of habit, he's still determined that it wasn't the tire company's fault on this case, and that this flat occurred by somebody who intentionally drove a screw into a tire. That had that happened in a natural way, which it didn't because of the angle it went into the tire, then it would have taken 20 miles or so to go flat. Instead, it was found a quarter mile from the house. add that to the testimony we heard from another witness, and we've put together the fact that, according to the state, that the defendant intentionally flattened this tire in the driveway or in the garage, and then drove the car to that spot and abandoned it to make it look like his wife was abducted after getting a flat tire. But we also learned that a third of us have been the victim of somebody intentionally flattening one of our tires, because apparently, according to this witness, the only way you can get a nail or a screw directly penetrating perpendicular to the surface of the tire in your car is through somebody intentionally doing it. It doesn't happen in the wild. No straight screws. You can't get a tire screwed perpendicularly in the wild. It has to be manufactured. I would say that I can think of a couple obscure situations where that would actually occur, and the witness would be wrong. For instance, let's say you're driving behind my trailer, and I'm hauling off all the junk from my old garage before I made it an Airbnb, and I'm hauling off the wood paneling, which was fastened to the wall using drywall screws, much like the one that was shown in this case. I just ripped them out of the wall because a lot of times those drywall screws were screwed in and missed a stud. So I pulled paneling off where a screw, brand new, looking like that one, is all the way in the paneling, perpendicular to the panel, and not attached to anything. So the screw stays in. The panel is very light because it's like that fake wood from the 1970s. I throw it in the trailer, uncovered. As I do, I drive. Debris flies everywhere as I'm driving, and one of these little pieces with a screw in it lands screw up in the road. It's now positioned and held in position so that the tire can roll over it, and it doesn't move as the tire goes, and it does puncture. Now, as it's done that, the tension when it punctures the tire, the tension on that screw portion and the way that the tire is gripping those threads will now cause the screw to tear out of the wood. So that the object that held it in place is now gone as it goes around the tire a couple times, and the hole is made. I think it can happen. The way he testified that it's impossible to get a screw straight into your tire, I just don't think a third of us are the victim of somebody malicious out there who's just screwing everybody or their tires, so to speak. Anyway, it's a little bit of a far-fetched situation, but one that I can definitely see happen. And also the 20 miles to go flat. Okay, that doesn't sit well with me because I drive to Raleigh and back all the time. And I don't know what it is about that commute, but there are probably some sort of tradesman who somewhere along that route, almost every single time I make that trip, have dropped a number of fasteners on the road of some variety, sharp fasteners, screws, nails, roofing, tacks, I don't know, something like that. They do that because you get a little alert on your phone. It's a disabled vehicle ahead, and you pull up, and there's like 7 people all out there with jacks, straight, trying to change tires within about a quarter-mile stretch. So the whole 20 miles to go flat, I'm not buying that. I've seen lots of very quick flats all close together. Call me a tire expert. So RA is a guy who doesn't secure his trailer. That's what I got from this story. I actually never, in this state, I've never hauled a trailer to the dump. I've always rented one of those big bins where they come and they put a cover over it and haul it away, or we've had the contractor bring a trailer and he hauls it away with a cover. But I was just presenting a fictional situation to describe the situation and how it could happen. Here we go. We're back from break. That was quick. Some construction vehicles will have a big magnet bar that hangs from the front bumper when they drive to pick up screws to try to avoid getting flat tires. I'm not sure how well that works, but you guys have seen those magnet sweepers? Magnet sweepers for the merch store. I was just going to sell screws, certified run-flat screws.
All right, let's be seated. You faked me out over there now. All right, stay ready to call the next witness.
Yes, sir. Jason Greasy.
Jason Greasy, or Creasy. And that's first name, last name, not last name, first name.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Creasy. Would you state your full name, please?
Jason Robert Creasy.
How do you spell your last name?
Creasy.
Mr. Creasy, did you know Karen Swift?
I did.
And how did you know her?
I knew her a couple of different ways. I saw her at the YMCA, and then I represented her in her divorce action.
Okay. And did you actually file a petition in that divorce?
I did.
Okay. Did you bring the file with you?
I brought a duplicate of the court's file.
Okay. And did you review that file, the duplicates?
I did.
Okay. Is it an exact copy of what you had in your file, the duplicates?
It's a copy of what's in the court file. I did not bring my personal notes from my individual file.
So that's a copy of the actual file from the court?
Yes.
And is there a divorce petition in that file?
Yes, we filed a petition for divorce on behalf of Karen on October the 10th of 2011.
And do you actually have that document there?
I do.
Would you refer to that document, please? Would you look at page 2 of the divorce petition, and would you go to number 9?
Number 9 it talks about acquiring certain marital property and debts and asking for the court to equitably divide the property and the debts.
Okay. And would that include the home?
Yes, as I understood from talking to Karen, I reviewed my notes as well in preparation for today. There was approximately $50,000 of equity in the house, and so we were asking for her to get half of that, have the house sold, and for her to have half the equity.
Okay. And were you asking that the debt be paid, any of the debt be paid by the defendant?
Yes, so a couple of different things in there. One of the things we asked for was spousal support. My understanding was that David Swift was to receive somewhere in the neighborhood of a $10,000 bonus at the end of October and $15,000 bonus at the end of November from working at Nucor, because that's what had happened in the past. We asked for all of the delinquent house payments to be caught up, and then for Karen to receive half of that amount so that she would have enough funding to get her individual place.
Okay. And
works at Nucor. They tried to hire me once.
Did she also ask for child support?
She did. We calculate child support according to the Tennessee Child Support Guidelines. There's a calculator based up. I think we had Mr. Swift's income at $8,500 a month, which would be $102,000 a year. We added in, he was paying $320 a month in health insurance, and so $160 of that was attributed to being the portion for the children, and it came out where he would have to pay $1,408 per month in child support.
Okay. And would you make the copy of the petition for divorce? Would you make that an exhibit to your testimony?
Yes.
We're going to mark them as collective.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Be 22. Be admitted as 22.
As a part of the divorce filings, did you also prepare a temporary and permanent parenting plan?
Yes, I actually labeled it as temporary and permanent parenting plan, so I didn't have to file two separate orders, and it was proposed. I have that document as well.
Okay. Would you refer to that document, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first thing on the first page, it talks about residential time with each parent. What was Ms. Swift proposing for the parenting time for each?
She was asking to be primary residential parent for Mr. Swift to receive every other weekend, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6, standard division of holidays, and for him to get 2 2-week periods in the summer and then alternate fall and spring break.
Okay, so her proposal was that she be the primary residential parent, that Mr. Swift have visitation every other weekend.
Yes.
Okay. As a part of the parenting plan, you talk about calculating child support. How is that done?
How is the child support calculation
Yes.
done?
Yes.
You take his income, you take her income, you show if there's any credits for any other children, which they didn't have, the health insurance, which I talked about earlier, and they didn't have any reoccurring child care. So it's just how many ever days he has, how many ever days she has, and the incomes and the health insurance. Those were the only things factored into this. And so there's a deviation downward on child support. I think after you get past 93 days, in this one he was going to get about 80 days per year. So there would have not been a deviation. So it was just a standard calculation on the incomes.
Okay. And on the 4th page of the temporary or permanent parenting plan, it talks about child support. What was the father's or Mr. Swift's gross monthly income?
$8,500, and I calculated that because I believe 8,500 times 2, 17,000 plus the 85,000, so that got $102,000 a year.
All right. And what about, you have gross income from Ms. Swift?
Yes.
And what was that amount?
We had her income at $1,250, but her income really wasn't $1,250. We imputed her to what would be minimum wage. She wasn't actually making that money, but under the guidelines, if you have the ability to work, you normally impute at least minimum wage.
So that was not her actual income?
It was not.
And based upon that calculation, you mentioned it before, but would you state again, what would the amount of child support that Mr. Swift have to pay monthly be?
$1,408.
Would you make that an exhibit to your testimony as well?
Yes.
That's a copy of the proposed parenting plan. Would you let Mr. Taylor look at that? I'll look at it before it's more.
I don't know, what's the, I've never seen this before. I've never seen a divorce lawyer bringing in paperwork from the divorce. I guess in states where they have to prove motive.
Admitted as number 23.
Okay, Mr. Creasy, you stated earlier that you actually filed the divorce on October 10th of 2011. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a certain time that a person or the defendant has to file an answer to a divorce?
They have 30 days from the date they were served. What we actually did in this case was, my recollection is that Karen had all the documents prepared. I think she was leaving a copy, unfiled copy, I think, with Mr. Swift, and then he could come accept service at my office. So the date that I actually filed this is the same date that Mr. Swift came into my office and accepted service.
Okay, so he would have had 30 days from October 10th to file that answer?
Correct.
And did he ever file an answer?
He didn't file an answer on November the 3rd, 4 days or so after Karen went missing. Tim Nafee, attorney from Lake County, Tennessee, filed a notice of appearance on his behalf, but didn't file an actual answer.
Okay. Was an answer ever filed?
Not to my recollection.
Okay. And what happens typically if an answer is not filed?
A person can file what's called a motion for default judgment. It means that no one has responded. You have to send notice out to that person. In this particular incident, I would have to send that to Mr. Nafee since he was counsel of record. and then he would have had to either file an answer or we would go to court and be granted a default judgment.
Okay. So you didn't actually get a notice of appearance from an attorney until after Karen Swift was missing?
That's correct. So Mr. Nafee signed his notice of appearance on November the 1st to put it in the mail to me, but then he didn't actually file it until November the 3rd, and I wouldn't have gotten it until November 3rd or 4th.
Okay. Did you actually attend the Halloween party on October 29th of 2011?
I did. I don't remember how many people hosted that party. There were several couples that hosted that party. I was one of the people that hosted that party.
Okay. Did you see Miss Swift at the party?
I did.
Did you talk to her?
I did.
Wait, he was at the party?
Make any statements about speaking with David that night?
Yes.
And what were those?
She said that before she left, that Mr. Swift asked her not to go to the party and to go to dinner with her, and she said, "No, David, it's over."
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Divorce lawyer at the hot tub party? Is that what I just heard? I was sort of phasing the lawyer out a little bit, but...
Mr. Creasy, let me ask you a few questions.
He hosted
the petition for divorce, you prepared that and filed it.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Did you prepare the petition and file it?
Yes.
In the information that you obtained about financials, did you obtain all that from Karen Swift solely?
That's correct.
Did you obtain any bank records or checking account information from her, or just basically what she told you?
She told me what his income was. She told me what her income was. And anybody that does very much divorce practice knows that when you file your original proposal, you're estimating. You have to present proof when the case goes to trial. So during the discovery process that you would have in a divorce action, we would have obtained tax returns and W-2s. So at that point in time, I had not received those. I was just going off what she told me.
Okay. Solely off what she told you at that time?
Correct.
Whether it was correct or incorrect, you didn't know until you got the financial information?
That's correct.
As far as her income, you said you estimated that at base because she could work. There's a floor amount that you have to put in?
Well, most judges will at least put minimum wage. And so I think at the time, minimum wage calculated out to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $12.50 or $12.57 per month.
Okay. And did you receive information that she was doing landscaping, fitness training, babysitting, any more information that she had any job or income?
I knew that she was doing some fitness training at the YMCA. I knew she did some landscaping. What was the other job you had?
Babysitting.
I don't recall. I'm not saying she didn't tell me something about babysitting. I just don't recall that.
All right. I don't do any divorce work, so let me just ask you a couple questions to make sure I understand.
Is that a jab?
Sometimes I wished I didn't.
I know. Well, I did one with Jimmy Butler, and I never will do another one. So, but the parenting plan.
Jimmy's like, what?
That's a document that you came up and talked with her about, and you filled in the blanks about the time and the amounts.
Yes, it's a proposal. So when you file a divorce action that has minor children, you're supposed to file a proposed parenting plan. Mm-hmm. That's just what we're saying that we're asking the court to do. When Mr. Swift would have filed an answer, he would have filed his proposal. His proposal could be different. And then you go through your mediation process and you either reach an agreement on a plan or you go to court and the judge makes the determination as to what that is.
Okay. And you're saying Mr. Swift did obtain an attorney.
He eventually obtained an attorney. He obtained an attorney after Karen went missing.
But you were notified by Mr. Nafee, I guess, before the end of 30 days that he had the intent to represent Mr. Swift, weren't you?
That's true, yes.
Yeah. And from what I understand about my limited knowledge of civil and divorce work, if you file a complaint, sometimes lawyers will contact the other lawyer and say, can I have a little bit of time? I'm going to file my notice of appearance. That normally happens, and they ask for an extension of to reply.
That does happen. That's not what happened here.
But you did talk to Mr. Nafee, the attorney, Mr. Nafee.
Talk to Mr. Nafee. If you want me to tell you, I'll tell you what I told Mr. Nafee.
You didn't agree?
My client was missing.
Oh, I'm talking about at the time that you were notified by Mr. Nafee.
That was after she was missing.
Oh, all right.
He filed the notice of appearance on November the 3rd. He put it in the mail to me on November 1st. After I received that, I talked to Mr. Nafee, and the conversation we had was not about, was there going to be a timely answer filed? That's not the discussion I had with Mr. Nafee.
But the 30-day period, when did it end?
It would have ended on, I guess technically November the 9th, since there's 31 days in October.
But in civil law, if something's postmarked, is that the date you go from? If I'm a lawyer and I put a letter in the mail to you and it's postmarked on November the 1st.
That doesn't matter in that case because it's just a notice of appearance. It's not an answer. It's just saying, hey, I'm his attorney. So he did notify me, and he signed the notice of appearance on November the 1st. But any action taken by Mr. Nafee was after Karen was missing.
Right, but it was before the end of the 30 days, wasn't it?
That's correct. And lots of times if I get a notice of appearance from another attorney, I will say, hey, if you need more time to file an answer, file an answer.
Right.
That's not the discussion I had with Mr. Nafee.
Right, but sometimes lawyers wait to the last minute, don't they, about the 30 days?
That's fair, yes.
Yeah, and so you were notified within 30 days, and it was postmarked before November the 9th, wasn't it?
It was, but the postmark on that doesn't make any difference because it still doesn't qualify as an answer. Right. If Mr. Nafee would have just called me without filing a notice of appearance and says, hey, Jason, can I have some more time? I would have said, sure, have some more time. If it was a normal circumstance. With my client missing and me having some beliefs that I had, I was not going to give him any more time. And in fact, I sent a notice of deposition out to Mr. Nafee to take Mr. Swift's deposition when Karen went missing.
Well, I know, but if his lawyer was sloppy or waited to do things, is that something that could have affected his ability to file an answer?
Is it possible that Mr. Swift had already retained Mr. Nafee prior to November 1st?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Possible. I don't know when Mr. Swift retained Mr. Nafee, when he met with Mr. Nafee the first time. I just know the first communication I received from Mr. Nafee was after she went missing.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
You didn't.
Sounds like a
didn't
lawyer
file a
lunch
motion for
topic
default?
conversation.
I did not file a motion for a default because, I mean, practically speaking, what happens if I file a motion for a default, I have to file a written motion for default. I have to send notice of hearing. You have to give 5 days notice. You have to include 3 days for mail. That gives 8 days from the time I file my motion and send a notice of hearing out before I can have it heard. Almost certainly, Mr. Nafee would have filed an answer for him in that circumstance. What I did instead, though, was I sent a notice of deposition to take David's deposition.
Okay, I understand that, but you could have done that, and you're saying that Mr. Nafee could have filed the answer.
Correct.
But you chose not to wait because of your personal. You chose not to wait, right?
I chose not to wait based on information and beliefs that I had.
Okay. Now, you did a notice of deposition?
I did, in fact.
Well, let me ask this. Before you get to the oral, and I don't know a lot about civil stuff, before you do depositions, don't you do requests for admissions, which are like papers you civil lawyers fill out and ask questions and interrogatories and send out before you file a deposition? Isn't that how it's normally done?
I don't know that I would say that's how it's normally done. Under Rule 33 of the Rules of Civil Procedure and Rule 34 of the Rules of Civil Procedure, you can send out interrogatories, you can send out written requests for production of documents. Under Rule 30, you could also file a notice of deposition and take a deposition. I chose, instead of sending out interrogatories, he would have had 30 days to respond to interrogatories. I scheduled a notice of deposition, and I actually spoke with Mr. Nafee to get a date that was available for him, and we scheduled Mr. Swift's deposition for November the 20th because that was the first date that Mr. Nafee said he had available.
Okay, but you could have sent out interrogatories and requests for admission. Now,
yes, that's true.
And you didn't do that?
I did not.
And usually that is a preliminary to a deposition, isn't it?
I don't agree with that. I agree that happens a lot of times, but I don't know that I would say that's usually how it's done. It kind of is just a feel of the case. Sometimes I choose to go ahead and take depositions because I don't think that it's necessary to go through all of that written documentation. I can obtain information at the deposition. I can take deposition first, and after I get information deposition, send out the written request. It's just whichever I choose to do.
Right, but the other lawyer might feel differently. Is that right?
It doesn't matter if he feels differently. I can exercise rules of civil procedure however I desire.
Okay. But normally, you've done it before where you do requests for interrogatories, which is, so the jurors know, isn't that like a list of questions?
It is.
So you get more information?
Interrogatories are a list of questions, but I would say, I don't want to say normally I do it that way. I do it both ways. In an interrogatories, you're limited to 30 questions, unless you get leave from the court. I had more than 30 questions I wanted to ask David Swift based on the circumstances. So no, I did not want to send interrogatories because I had more than 30 questions I wanted to ask him.
Right, but that's just what you preferred, right?
That's correct, yes.
Right. But let me ask this. If you send out interrogatories, it's questions, and then when you get them back, these questions, then you can still have a deposition and you can have a lot more information that the other party has put down in response to your questions. Isn't that right?
That's true, but at the time I sent out this notice of deposition on November the 14th, there was only one subject matter that I really wanted to ask David Swift about, and it wasn't his finances.
Just one moment, Mr. Tracy. Let's have a comment.
This lawyer is saying you don't want to hear where I'm going. You don't want the ultimate answer to the end of this conversation. Yeah, interesting. This probably should have been handled over lunch instead of at the witness chair. These two lawyers going at it. One definitely looking down on as a criminal defense attorney, looking down on the family law attorney. Family law is holding his own. Knows the rules. Sidebar has been enacted. You can't handle the truth. It's good stuff. While we're waiting for them to come back, I last night, late after the podcast, YouTube recommended that I watch a video about camping on a pontoon boat. And I've never been a big fan of pontoon boats, but I guess they're great for lakes. I've always thought that they handle waves very poorly, especially large waves. The front end goes under, and the whole thing, yeah, it's no good. They're fun for party. It's a party boat, but they're slow speed. I guess good for fishing, groups fishing, things like that. But I found some guy makes a video about camping on a pontoon boat, and he's a healthy guy. He's a larger gentleman, and camps by himself, and it looked miserable. And he's trying to say how great it was and how awesome. And he's got every possible tech toy attachment you could have for the boat. It's got all the lights and bells and whistles and zippered enclosures and fans and chargers and battery packs and a cot and everything else. And he's like packed in there. It's so uncomfortable. He's trying to sleep and he's trying to say how great it is. And he's obviously an affiliate. So for all the products that he's selling. So he's trying to describe how delicious some of the instant breakfast he was eating was. And I just chuckled all the way through it because it was hilarious. It's not relevant to this case, but now I'm looking at pontoon boats. I've never owned a boat in my life. Me advertising my new channel. Yeah, I'd love to have a boat channel. I don't even know if I've launched a boat one time, and it was a rental. My wife and I, while we were dinks, double income, no kids, we rented a boat, went to Bear Lake, which sits on the border of Idaho and Utah. Beautiful lake. It's like the Caribbean of the Rockies. Very blue water. I did a terrible job launching the boat and taking it out of the water. I needed help. I just about lost my truck.
Redirect. Yes, sir.
We got one more moment. I've heard a boat is a hole in the water you throw money into. Is that correct? Okay, this is the video. This is what I saw. He did the whole anchor on both sides. It looked like a lot of work.
No questions, John.
All right, sir. Go down. Thank you. This witness excused completely. All right.
Thank you.
Lawyer can leave.
Call your next witness.
Terry Harris.
Man, tent camping in Yellowstone. We had wolves howling around us. I did it one night as well. I'm like, that's not for me.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Tonight you say this.
Please tell me he has mother of pearl buttons. Oh no, they're black.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Terry Harris.
Mr. Harris, do you know David Swift?
I do.
And did you know Karen Swift?
I did.
Okay. How did you know them?
They lived down the road about 4 houses.
Okay. Did they ever come to your house, or did you ever talk to them?
We talked, but they came to my house on Thursday evening before Halloween.
Okay. Do you know if they were having a bonfire?
I don't know about a bonfire. They was having a hayride for the kids.
Okay. And did they come down to talk to you about that hayride?
They wanted to borrow some hay to have the hayride.
Okay. And who came down to do that and to talk to you about the hay?
Well, Karen had called on the phone saying about borrowing some when they came down. David, Keeley, and Karen's the one that came after it.
Okay. How did they come to pick it up?
They brought a 4-wheeler and a trailer.
Okay. How was the hay loaded onto the trailer that day?
When David was on the 4-wheeler, he backed in the barn, and Karen got up on the trailer, and I told her I'd load it because she had shorts on, and I put the 7 or 8 bales of hay on the trailer.
Okay. And so the hay ride was going to be that night?
I think it was on Friday night. This was on Thursday evening.
Okay, the following night. Okay. Did they bring the hay back?
Brought it back on Saturday evening.
The next day? Okay, so that would have been on the 29th.
I guess.
Okay, you just know it was Saturday.
On Saturday evening.
Okay, all right. Who brought the hay bales back?
David brought it, and Keeley was with him.
Okay. And did you unload the hay bales by yourself that day?
David helped me unload the hay.
Okay. Was he using crutches?
I never seen no crutches on Saturday.
Okay. How did he help you unload the hay bales?
Well, I was on the back of the trailer taking the hay and stacking it back up, and he was bringing the hay to the back of the trailer.
So he was up on the trailer?
He was on the trailer.
Did he have any problems climbing up on the trailer?
I didn't see no problem.
Okay. So he would pick the hay up and walk it to the back of the trailer?
He either picked it up or drug them back to the back.
Okay, and then handed those to you?
And I picked them up and stacked them back in my hay.
Okay. Do you know how much your hay bales typically weigh?
Somewhere around 65, 70 pounds.
Okay. And how many of them was it? Do you remember?
7 or 8.
Okay. And he helped pick up all 7 or 8 and bring them to the back of the trailer?
That's correct.
Did he seem to have any problems doing that?
Yeah, I didn't see any problem. He didn't say anything about having a problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir.
On Thursday, they borrowed some hay.
That's correct.
And Karen Swift came over to pick it up.
Karen and David
Right.
and Keely came to pick the hay up.
Okay. And when they came to pick it up, you got informed that David had a bad knee.
Karen said that she would help me load the hay because he had a reoccurrence of an old knee injury.
Okay. And then the hay got loaded on the trailer.
I put the hay on the trailer.
Okay. And then did you go to the party?
No.
Okay. Now, you live on the same road as the Swifts. You did.
That's correct.
And you live down on the end towards the Mill Springs where it comes out.
Down towards what?
Where does do you live, which end of the road do you live on that?
I live about the middle of the road. They live the first house on the left, and then I live 4 houses down.
Going past them?
Going past them.
Okay. On Saturday, they got brought back, the hay got brought back.
That's correct.
And David and his daughter were there.
That's correct.
And he helped you unload the trailer.
That's correct.
You don't know whether he scooted or picked up the bales, do you?
I don't remember.
But he helped in the way he could to get the bales off.
That's correct.
And when you were interviewed, did you tell law enforcement the bales were 50 or 60 pounds?
I don't know that they asked me what the weight was.
Okay. That was back in 2018, I guess, when they talked to you?
Could have.
Okay. So you don't know whether they asked you or not?
No.
Okay. Okay. That's a lot different than 125 or 130 pounds, isn't it? The weight.
65 or 70 is lighter than 120.
Okay.
I didn't come here to math, but I can help you with that one.
Thanks for making that clear.
No
further questions. Mr. Harris, you're excused, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kim Price. Kim Price.
Kim Price.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
No party? Yes party? What do you think?
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
My name is Kimberly Price.
Okay. And Ms. Price, do you know David Swift?
No, I do not.
Okay. Did you know him prior to October 29th of 2011?
No, sir.
Okay.
Did you know?
Do you
No.
remember talking to him on that day?
I do.
And where were you?
At the skating rink in Dyersburg.
Okay. You didn't know Mr. Swift?
No, sir.
How did you end up having a conversation with him?
How that happened, he was actually talking to the owner, Jackie. I walked up and I was had walked up and was going to talk to Jackie, and kind of happened into the whole conversation.
Okay. What was the conversation about?
The whole conversation was about Karen.
Okay.
Objection? He's going to wait with his objection. Hearsay.
What was the conversation about Karen about?
Okay, initially, I think he had asked Jackie, you heard that Karen and I were getting a divorce, and she stated no. And it just went on from that to she's draining my account. It went on into further details that honestly I didn't know him from Adam, so I was kind of uncomfortable with it.
Okay. Were they good details or bad details?
Bad details.
About who?
About Karen.
Okay. All right. And was he telling you all these details?
He was talking to both of us, yes, sir.
Okay. Regardless of the fact he didn't even know who you was?
Exactly, yes, sir.
Okay. Did he ever talk to you about whether or not he knew of Karen having cell phones?
Yes, sir.
What did he say about that?
I believe he told me that he had a BlackBerry. She had an iPhone, but she also had an extra phone.
Okay. Did he say anything about where she got that phone?
No, sir.
Okay, just that she had a second phone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What makes you remember that conversation so much?
I kind of remembered the whole day about the whole thing. The thing that struck me, I guess, I mean, I remember everything from the clothes that he was wearing in detail, and it struck me because I didn't know him, so I was wondering why the conversation was just over the top, in my opinion. I remember like details about people that I know in town. Like I'm a female. I wouldn't just tell strangers my business, so I felt that very odd.
Okay. Did you report the conversation to the sheriff's department at a later time?
Did I make a statement? Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you notice whether or not David Swift was using crutches?
Yes, I saw that he was using crutches. I don't know if I can state an opinion.
Well, you can tell us what you observed.
I observed he had them. He did walk with them at certain times. Certain times he had them standing beside him. I never witnessed him sitting down. So I don't think he really relied on the crutches that day.
Did he appear to struggle walking without the crutches?
I don't really remember that part. I remember him using them some, but mainly standing. So he might have not used them for a little bit, but I don't recall, honestly.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You were interviewed on November the 8th of 2011.
Yes, sir.
You stated that, isn't it true that David told you he had surgery on his knee before?
Yes, that it was an old injury.
Yeah, but it was hurting again, and he'd re-injured it.
Correct.
Okay. He told you that his daughter was embarrassed he was on crutches?
Correct.
And he had crutches. He had crutches.
He had crutches with him, yes, sir.
And he was there at his daughter at the skating rink?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you talk to David Swift about custody or child support?
I did.
Tell me about that.
I don't know how the conversation actually started about the custody. I think the fact that they were both in the same house I think that's how it started. I said, I honestly don't know how, I would go about doing that. I said, my son's father and I, we had gotten a divorce. And I said, we had split custody, and I was going to get about $1,000 a month in child support. And the look on his face was quite eye-opening.
What type of look was that?
It was like he was almost afraid that was about to happen.
She could say that his face looked like anything more speculation.
Okay.
Or she can give her opinion as to what she observed.
I think it's fair for her to say what she observed as opposed to what her opinion about what she observed is. I think that's the way it needs to be couched if you want to ask her.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
A look of shock. That's all she needed to say. He looked shocked.
Sit down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary McQuarters.
Mary McQuarters next up. We're flying through these witnesses. I think we invited the whole town up here to testify. And they're all, it's a 50-mile trip because this court has had a change of venue. It's on her shirt. Is that the American flag?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated. Be behind.
This might be the boss of the skating
Good
rink.
morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Mary Rose McQuarters.
Would you spell your last name, please?
McQuarters.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Miss McQuarters, where do you live?
5761 Mill.
We don't need to hear that, ma'am.
And do you know David Swift?
I do now.
Do you know where David Swift lived
Yes,
on
sir.
October 29th or October 30th of 2011?
Yes, sir.
Where did he live?
He lived on the first house on the left going down Willie Johnson Road.
Okay. And how close was that to your house?
Probably 4/10 of a mile.
Okay.
4/10.
And in order to get from his
like
house
2/5?
to Millsfield Highway, did he have to pass your house?
He passed. I own the ground there on Millsfield Highway. My house is not on the corner of Harness, but it's the house over, and I live in a barn, and you can hear what goes down Harness Road.
Okay. But would a person have to go in the direction of your house to get from Mr. Johnson's house to Millsfield Highway? Would they pass where you live?
Yes, they would pass from the side.
Okay. Did you know Karen Swift?
I knew of her. I'd seen her jogging down the road.
On I guess it would be the early morning of October 30th, 2011. Did you hear anything unusual that night?
I got woke up. It was about 4:40 in the morning to a strange noise. My dog was really having a fit, and I got up to see what was wrong. And I heard it, and then it was gone. I didn't hear it no more, but I heard it coming down Harness Road towards Millsfield.
What did you hear?
It sounded like a flat tire on a vehicle.
Okay. Have you ever heard a flat tire on a vehicle before?
Yes, sir.
Is that the same sound that you heard that morning?
Yes, sir.
What direction was the sound traveling?
It was to my right, and it was coming this way, going towards Millsfield Highway.
So would the sound have been coming from the direction from Mr. Swift's home to Millsfield Highway?
Yes, sir.
Did the sound stop?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell where the sound stopped?
I could tell that it stopped right over there, and it would be at the end of Harness Road.
Okay. The next morning, did you observe anything in that area?
There was a white car sitting over there.
Is that the same place that you heard the noise stop?
Yes, sir.
Did you notice anything about the car?
He looked like it had been abandoned.
Okay. Did you notice anything about the tires?
One of them was flat.
Okay. Did you assist in the search for Karen Swift?
Yes, sir, I did.
Tell me about that. How did you assist?
Well, I was on Millsfield Fire Department, and we all gathered at the fire department with horses and four-wheelers and stuff, and we went and searched certain places. And we went, the group that I was with, we went down by the Mississippi River and searched where her phone pinged.
Okay.
We didn't find anything, and then we all came back, and nobody found anything, and I stayed at the fire department, and I was helping clean up from all the drink cans and stuff, and David Swift's son was in there, and he...
I would ask him to approach. I'm sorry. Yes. Hang on a second.
Don't say no more, ma'am. Say no more. We got as far as from all the drink cans and stuff, and the attorney says no more fun. We can't hear anymore. Why? I'm wondering what drink is this, like we're talking Sprite, 7-Up, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or are we talking Miller, a little bit of Michelob, Bud Light? What was the drink cans at the fire station? We all know the fire station people can throw a party. If you've never been to a fire station barbecue, you're missing out. They know how to cook. When it comes to fire, they're the pros. Probably some Pedialyte. Yeah, throw that in there as well. I don't think so. Where did her phone ping there? Why? Oh, I don't know, Jenny. I haven't. The cell phone testimony for me was really, really hard to get into on this one. But there will never be pork. It's beef. They're drinking pineapple juice. Milwaukee's best, you think? Ma'am, you did nothing wrong. You keep testifying the way you've been testifying. We love you. I love the small town talk. It's good. I love it.
Of course, I don't have any other questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Whoa. Judge
Mrs.
said no go.
Can I ask you, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you mind leaning up a little bit? I'm a little hard of hearing. You live on the road, I guess on the Millsville Highway.
Yes, sir.
And David Swift lives on the Harness Road?
He lived on Willie Johnson Road, off of Harness Road.
Yeah. Harness Road runs into Willie Johnson.
Yes, sir.
All right. If you come out Harness Road and take a left, you live on the left or the right?
I live on the left.
Okay. You live how many houses down on the left?
One over.
There's one house between you and Harness Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you live right on the main road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what woke you up? Was your dogs barking?
No, sir. The noise from the tire woke me up.
Okay.
My dog was barking. I got up to see what was going on.
Okay. Now, would it be fair to say that normally if a car drives down the road at that time of night?
Any loud noise wakes me up because I went through a tornado in 2006 and I don't sleep good at night when there's loud noises.
But you're not saying, I'm just trying to understand that you
Okay.
hear every car that goes by your house at night when you go to bed, are you?
Now I play a TV in the living room.
Okay. But what made you hear this is it sounded like a flat tire.
Because it was roaring going down the road.
Right, and I understand, but I'm just trying to make sure. But you're not saying the sound of a car. If there had been another car in front of that or behind that car that didn't have a flat tire, you may not have heard that.
I would not have unless it was making a loud noise.
Okay. And you didn't see anything.
I couldn't. It was dark.
Right. But wasn't there a house next door that was blocking your view too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And You didn't see anything or anybody, though?
I didn't go out to.
Okay. I'm just making sure I understand. You did not see anybody walking in the area because the house and shed next door block your view?
It was dark. I couldn't see. There's no light down there on the road.
Right. Did you look?
Why would I look when I couldn't see in the dark?
But you didn't go to the window and look?
I went out to my door and I looked out my door.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
And
don't make her come off the stand.
Did you say the highway is in a dip and sounds echo in that area when law enforcement interviewed you?
Yes, sir, because the trees hadn't grown back up from the tornado.
So you're saying you told law enforcement the highway is in a dip and the sounds echo in that area?
I live in a barn. I live in a metal building, a barn, a house inside of a barn. Right. So it echoes because I have the back door open.
Okay. I've not been in that house. I'm just making sure me and the jury understand, okay?
Okay.
You were interviewed about this in 2016?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you call law enforcement that day or the day after about this and give a statement that you heard the flat tire?
I probably did.
Did you or?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. You didn't, but there's no statement until 2016. Which is, I'm just asking, making sure I understand. This was in 2011, and you were interviewed and gave a statement to law enforcement in 2016. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're saying probably, but you're not sure?
When something happens out there, I usually tell the police department, the sheriff's department, what's going on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
There you go.
Ms. McQuarters, you stated that you reported this just the next day or days after that happened. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you interviewed a second time in 2016?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was not the first time you ever told anyone about that?
No, sir.
That was the second time that they
came
and asked you?
That was the second time.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one more thing. Let me make sure I understand. On the night you say you heard what you thought was a flat tire, did you have the TV on that night or not?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
That didn't help you.
Ms. McQuarters, you can step down.
My dismiss going to go home.
Is the witness excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
She gave you a thank y'all. Wasn't the bless your heart, but it was the next best thing. Thank y'all.
Jennifer Lamb.
Thank you.
I thought it was a thank y'all.
Raise your hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Jennifer Lamb.
Miss Lamb, do you know David Swift?
I do.
And did you know Karen Swift?
I did.
Tell me how you knew them.
They were my next door neighbors.
Okay. And how long did you live next door to one another?
We moved in February of 2008, and they moved in October of that same year.
Okay. So about 3 years then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you remember the morning of October 30th of 2011?
Kind of, yes.
Okay. Do you remember seeing Karen Swift's car that day?
Yes.
And where was it?
At the end of Harness Road across the street in the gravel.
Okay. And did you know what Karen's car looked like?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall about what time it was that you saw the car?
Around 9:30, I was going to church.
Okay. And did you try to contact Karen when you saw the car?
From what I remember, I texted her and asked, was she okay?
Okay. Did you get a response?
No.
Did you receive a call later in the day from David Swift?
I did.
Okay. Do you remember why you received that call?
He said he didn't know where she was. He was going to go look for her, and could I meet him and get the girls?
Okay. Do you remember about what time that was?
I had been out of church a while, so maybe 1 o'clock.
Okay. What did you tell him during that phone call?
I asked him, did you not see her car up at the end of the road? And he said no.
Okay. Did he act surprised?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And do you know if he had called the sheriff's department at that time?
I do not.
Okay. Did David Swift bring the children to the mall?
Yes.
Okay. Was it Keely and Ashley?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how long did you watch the girls that day?
I do not remember how long.
Okay. Was it into the evening?
I honestly do not remember.
Okay. That's fine. Did you know anything about David and Karen's relationship at that time?
Just from being neighbors, I mean.
Well, do you know if they were sharing a bedroom?
No.
Okay. You don't know about that? Did David tell you anything about Karen filing for divorce?
Well, yes.
And when did he tell you that?
When she went on the trip to Orange Beach.
Okay. Did he tell you anything else about that?
Just that she had went on her trip and he didn't know where she was.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Am I done?
Not done yet.
Just briefly, Miss Lamb, you were interviewed by law enforcement November the 3rd. Shortly afterwards, Karen went missing.
Correct.
You told them that you saw Karen's car on Millsville Highway, and you tried to text Karen at 9:37.
That's correct.
You did not receive a reply.
I did not.
Okay.
Thank you, Tag.
You were home on that Sunday, October the 30th.
After church, and I got them.
Right, but were you home that morning, that Sunday morning?
Yes.
All right. So you were home over Saturday night?
Correct.
And you left for church Sunday morning?
Yes.
All right. You live immediately next door to the Swifts?
Yes.
Late Saturday night or early Sunday morning, and you did not hear a loud noise or any screaming or shouting or?
I did not.
Nothing out of the ordinary?
No.
You can see the Swift home from your house?
If I go out my back door.
Okay. David Swift called you that afternoon after you got out of church.
Correct.
He told you that he wanted you to watch the child or the girls.
Yes.
He had both girls.
Yes.
They were at the house with him.
As far as I know, that's where they were, yes.
And that's when you told him you saw Karen's car.
Correct.
He seemed genuinely surprised, is what you told the law enforcement.
Yes, he did.
And then he asked you if you would watch the girls so he could find out what's going on.
Correct.
He mentioned he was either called or was going to call the sheriff's department.
I do not remember that.
Okay. Did he tell his daughter when he dropped her off that he had to go because he had to figure out what was going on with their mother?
I don't know what he told them.
I'm talking about, you heard him say that.
No, he told me that.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to make sure because I'm looking at this statement.
Yes.
He had to figure out what was going on with Karen.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Oh, I thought.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Lamb is excused, I take it?
Yes, sir. Marty Lamb.
Husband and wife team, maybe. See if the husband saw a little more of what happened next door.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be
Good morning, Mr. Lamb.
Morning.
Mr. Lamb, do you know David Swift?
Yes, sir.
And did you know Karen Swift?
Yes, sir.
How did you know them?
They were our neighbors.
Okay. Did you know what type of vehicle Karen Swift drove?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember the day of Sunday, October 30th, 2011?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on that date, did you see Miss Swift's vehicle in an unusual place?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
Leaving for work, at the end of the road of Harness Road in Millsfield, I did notice that her car was sitting on the east side of the road.
Okay. And do you recall what time that was?
Somewhere probably 4:45 or 4:50 in the morning.
Okay. And why were you out at that time of the morning?
Going to work.
Okay. Is that the time you typically would go to work?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. And did you stop at the vehicle?
I did. I say when I stopped, I saw that it was her vehicle as I was pulling away from it, and I just circled around the vehicle just to see if anyone was there, if something was wrong, and I went on to work.
Did you notice anything about the car?
I noticed it had a flat tire.
Okay. Do you remember if it was cold that morning?
It was. I mean, it's October, so I mean it wasn't cold enough. I wouldn't say it was cold.
Okay. Was it cold enough for frost?
I don't believe I had any on my vehicle. No, sir. I don't have any on mine. And
okay. Do you remember in your interview telling the police that you noticed there was no frost on the car and you thought that was unusual?
I don't remember that. No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Did you call and report that the vehicle was parked there?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did you call David Swift and tell him?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever talk to him again after that?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you tell your wife that the vehicle was there?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know how she would know that it was up there?
She left to go to church earlier that morning.
Okay. All right. Did she call you later and tell you that she saw the vehicle?
She called me later and said that Karen was missing.
Okay. And did you tell her at that time that you had seen the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Mr. Lamb, you were home, I guess, Saturday night up until you left Sunday morning.
Yes, sir.
You live within sight of the Swift house?
Yes, sir.
That night, early into Sunday morning before you left, you didn't hear any loud noises or racket from that direction?
No, sir.
You did not hear what appeared or sounded like a flat tire?
No, sir.
You did not see someone walking up or down the road?
No, sir, I did not.
Thank you, sir.
Where your house is compared to David Swift's house, is it closer to Millsfield Highway, or is it on the opposite end?
It's on the opposite end.
Okay. So if a car was driving down Willie Johnson towards Harness and then towards Millsfield, it would actually be driving away from your house.
Correct.
So if there was a loud sound, rather it would be driving away, not towards your house?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You can step down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We ready for lunch, Judge? It's a little
Jimmy
early.
Martin.
Jimmy Martin. Not Martin. That was a Boston accent. That was terrible. Jimmy Martin. Not the Jimmy that was handled in the divorce. This is a different Jimmy. Also, not the Jimmy that was named for the road, but the road was named after.
Good morning.
Morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Jimmy Martin.
Okay, Mr. Martin, do you know David Swift?
I did.
And did you know Karen Swift?
I did.
Okay. And how did you know them?
They lived a couple houses down.
Okay. So was it on which road did you live on?
I lived on Willie Johnson.
But was it closer to the Harness Road or on the other end?
It was further down Willie Johnson.
Okay. Did you know what type car Miss Swift drove?
She drove a Nissan Murano, white.
All right. And on that morning of October 30th of 2011, do you know where you were going that morning?
I was taking the two boys hunting in O'Brien County.
Okay. Do you remember what time you left?
It was around 5:15.
Okay. When you left, did you go towards Millsfield Highway?
I did.
Okay. When you got there, did you see anything that caught your attention?
My son noticed that Miss Karen's car was there because he made mention of it, and we looked at it, but we turned left and went hunting.
Did you notice anything about the car?
No, when we came back, we noticed it was still there and noticed it had a flat tire on the front.
Do you remember what time you would have been coming back?
It was probably sometime between 9 and 10.
Okay, and it was still there at that time?
It was.
Okay. And once again, it was around 5:15 when you saw it that
5:15-ish,
morning?
yeah. I don't know exact, but it was about 5:15.
Somewhere in that area?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I think they subpoenaed everybody who drove by her
Mr.
car.
Martin,
Yes,
you live close to David Swift.
correct.
Did you go to the Halloween party that Friday night?
I did not.
Okay. You were aware that it was going on, though, at the Swift house?
I don't think I actually knew.
Okay. About that time, you were aware that David Swift had hurt his knee and recalled seeing him on his crutches?
I did see him in the yard on crutches one day. I do remember seeing crutches.
Okay. I guess Saturday evening up until early Sunday morning when you left the house, you didn't hear any loud noises or any evidence of a disturbance, did you?
No, not that I know of.
You know what a flat tire sounds like?
Yeah.
Rolling down the road?
Yep.
Did you hear anything like that?
No.
Did David Swift call you about 10 a.m. asking if you might know where Karen was?
At some point, he told me that he didn't know where she was, but I don't recall when we had that conversation.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
If a car had passed Willie Johnson and was on Harness Road with a flat, from where your house is, would it be difficult to hear?
You would not have heard it.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, you can step down.
All right, thank you.
All right. Sorry, Samantha, I forgot to pin that one. That was very quick. Thank you for putting these up for me. Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, is everybody in good shape right now? We'll go another 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes.
Let's do that.
All right. If not, let me know. Give me a high sign or something, and we'll deal with it, okay? Go ahead and call your next witness.
Mary Claire Hopper.
Mary Claire Hopper. Why do I feel like all these witnesses have to be asked if they were at the party?
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Would you please state your name?
Mary Claire Hopper.
And did you know David Swift?
I had met him one time.
Okay. What about Karen Swift?
Yes.
And how did you know Karen?
I taught classes at the YMCA, and she was one of my students. And then she asked me one random day about cleaning and wanted to know if I needed any cleaning done. Did I know anyone? And I said, actually, I do. I also am the director for Habitat for Humanity in Northwest Tennessee. And we had a house. And I took her out there to show her what we needed done, and we hired her for that job.
Okay. And where was that house located?
Trimble, Tennessee.
Okay. And do you know what day she started the job?
She and I spoke, and I believe it was around the first week of October, but we had fall break. We both had small children, so school's out. So she, I believe, started after fall break, which would have been mid-October.
Okay. And do you know if she was working there on Friday, October 28th?
She was. She and I kept in close contact via text.
Okay. And was she there on that Saturday?
Yes.
October 29th?
I believe she was there all day until about 4:30.
Okay. Do you know if she finished the job?
She did not, because she actually reached out to me and said, I finished everything. All I have to do is the bathrooms. Planning on coming back tomorrow, which would have been the 30th. And if I do not get it done, can I come back Tuesday? Because she had a landscaping job. I said, absolutely. And as soon as I get back to town, I'll cut you a check for your job.
Okay. So the plan was she was going to come back on that Sunday, the 30th, to finish up?
Yes.
Okay. Did she come back on the 30th?
She did not.
Did you ever hear from her again?
I did not.
Did you actually pay anyone for the job?
I actually did. My board agreed to cut the check and take it to her mother, and I delivered it to her on her memorial, the night of her memorial in Arkansas.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
No questions, Ron. You can step down and free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie Garrett.
You raise your hand. Right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
Did you see that? Okay. That's good right there, yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Jamie Guerin.
And would you spell it?
It's G-U-R-I-E-N.
Okay. And did you know David Swift?
Yes, I do.
What about Karen Swift? Did you know
Yes,
Karen?
I do. Mm-hmm.
How did you know Karen?
She was my daughter-in-law's close friend. Good friend. They were good friends.
Okay. And what's your daughter-in-law's name?
Jenny Guerin.
All right. And did you ever spend any time, or I'm sorry, did Karen ever spend any time at your house?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Now, what type of relationship did you and Karen Swift have?
We're good friends. She's more or less just good friends, yeah.
Okay. When she would come to your house, were you there alone, or was he?
Oh, no.
Who else was there?
My son, my daughter-in-law, and her two little girls, and my two grandsons.
Okay. Did you ever have a romantic relationship with Karen Swift?
No.
Strictly friends?
Pardon?
Just strictly friends?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Did you know that Karen had filed for divorce?
No, I knew they were going to get one, but I didn't know she was really filed.
Okay. Did she ever call you to talk to you about different things?
She called my phone. A lot of times she'd be looking for my daughter-in-law.
Okay.
But yeah, she did call my phone, yeah.
All right. Do you recall her calling you a few days or possibly a week or so before she went missing?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And would you mind telling me what your phone number is?
My phone number?
Yes, sir.
It's
867-5309.
731.
Did Mr. Swift ever come to your house after Karen went missing?
Pardon?
Did Mr. Swift, David Swift, did he come to your house after Karen went missing?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And why did he come to your house?
He's come in, he wanted to talk, and he said something about they were leaning this toward me, and he wanted to know if maybe my daughter-in-law, Jenny, might know anything. I said, I don't know. Okay. And then he said, well, I know she spent the night here. I said, yes, she did, but she didn't spend the night with me. She spent the night with my daughter-in-law and her kids, and my son and their kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did he make any statements about Karen?
Yeah, he did. He said that he thinks somebody at some house might have followed her home.
Okay.
But I don't know. Then he said he hoped she wasn't out there with nothing to eat. And I thought, I didn't know. But yeah, he said that.
Okay. When your son lived across the street, did you ever talk to Mr. Swift when you were at your son's house?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did he ever talk to you or say anything to you about going to a cross?
Yeah, one day he was on his four-wheeler out in the road, and I walked out there and I asked him where he'd been, and he said he'd rode down to the cross and back. Yeah, on the four-wheeler. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can I have just 1 minute? Can I have 1 minute, please?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Another great witness. The cross, the lit cross, I think that was close to where her body was found, if I remember correctly. Down by the river.
Mm-hmm.
Love that the witness is just humming to himself.
Mr. Guerin, on October 30th, do you remember receiving 2 phone calls from David Swift?
No.
That you didn't answer?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you remember calling him that night and talking to him?
No, I didn't call him.
I love his nose.
No. I've never called his phone. Never.
You never returned a call to him?
I don't know. I don't think I did.
Okay. All right.
I'm pretty sure I didn't. No.
He's still denying. Prosecutor sat down. He's like, nope, didn't happen. Never. Nope, never. Not once. Not a single time.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thanks for the reminder, Judge. You said something about the cross. Is that down from where you live also?
Is it from? I didn't hear you. I didn't hear that.
Where the cross is located, is that like a location that people go to and do things?
I don't know. I never go there. I've never.
You've been past it before.
I've been down Harness Road. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is where the cross is. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Is there like a view of the river there, or do you know?
A what?
A view of the river.
No, I don't think you see the river.
Okay.
I wouldn't think so. You see Pagoda.
Okay. Well, that's close. Pagoda, the community?
Pardon?
You could see Pagoda, you said?
You can see some of it, yeah, from on the top of that hill when you go by there, if you look.
Okay. You've noticed that when you've been by there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Please ask him some more questions. Anything. Oh, man.
Okay. Excuse me.
Oh, man. It's just getting better and better.
Mike Smith.
Fall, your package arrived.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name, please?
Mike Smith,
And Mr. Swift, where do you work currently?
owner-operator of Smitty's Painting Pressure Washing,
Okay. And where did you work previously before that job?
State Gazette.
And tell me what the State Gazette is.
Local newspaper in Dyersburg.
Okay. And were you working for the State Gazette in 2014?
I was.
Do you know David Swift?
I do.
Did you know Karen Swift?
No, sir.
I love his voice.
Did you conduct an interview with David Swift in 2014?
I did.
And how did that come about? How did it come about that you were able to interview him?
Started with phone calls between myself and David.
Okay. And did he just agree to give you an interview for the paper?
After some conversations we had, yes.
Okay. And so did you meet him somewhere to interview him?
Yes, sir.
Where was that?
In Blytheville, Arkansas, I believe at Grecian Restaurant.
Okay. And during that interview, did David Swift make any statements about the fact that he had hired a private investigator to try to find information about his wife's murder?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did he
Got the
tell
water
you what the
chilling.
results of that investigation were?
He would not elaborate on that.
Did he report that to the police department or the sheriff's department?
I believe he told me he did.
Okay. Did he also tell you that he had discovered a lot of facts about Karen's murder?
Yes, sir.
Did he tell you what those facts were?
He would not. No, sir.
And did he tell you whether he saw Karen the early morning hours of October 30th, 2011?
Saw her briefly.
Okay. And what did he say about that?
He wouldn't go into it.
Okay. Did he tell you whether or not he saw her long enough to know what she was wearing?
I asked him if she was wearing a Halloween costume when she arrived home, and he answered no, that she wasn't. But that's when he stopped me and said, "You're going to have to move on. You keep trying to pull stuff from that night, and I'm not going to discuss it."
He didn't want to talk about anything that happened that night?
No, sir.
Did he tell you whether or not, did he tell you that Karen and Ashley slept in the same bed that night?
I don't think they didn't start off in the same bed.
Okay. Did he tell you that Ashley was moved to another bed later in the night?
Yes.
Okay. So they started off in the same bed, but was moved to another bed later?
No.
I need to hear this guy
I don't
say,
believe he said that.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
I'll rephrase the question.
Yeah, let's do that, I think,
Okay.
rather than leading.
Okay. Did Mr. Swift say anything to you about where Ashley slept eventually that night?
Eventually, yes.
And where was that?
With her smaller sister.
Okay. And did Mr. Swift tell you why he did not go to look for Karen that next morning?
Because it was not uncommon for her to leave early in the morning.
Okay. Did he tell you which door that he had told Karen to come through that night?
Yes, sir.
Which one was that?
Garage door.
And did Mr. Swift tell you about his reaction the night the officers came to tell him that they had found Karen?
Yes.
And what was that?
He was angry.
He was angry?
Yes.
And did he tell you why?
Because he was holding out hope that she would be found alive.
Okay. So he told you he was angry that night that they came?
His original emotions were he was upset. He was angry.
Okay. Did he mention anything about going into the closet where Karen kept clothes?
During our interview, he talked about rumors that he didn't care, and stated that people don't know the number of times that he goes into her closet to smell her clothes and to feel like he's close to her, because he said he didn't get rid of anything.
Okay. And did he tell you that he felt like the marital problems were caused by both of them or just by one of them? Did he tell you that their marital problems were because of both of their actions or one of their actions?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Just a minute. Do you have an objection?
Yes, sir. Okay. Your Honor, I object.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I object. Sidebar.
Yes, sir.
The witness is like, sure, let's do a conference. We'll talk about. No, it's not for you, witness. Unfortunately. Guess we need to hear a little "Lock the door and turn the lights down low." That's I know that song, Allie B. I was thinking the Burning Ring of Fire would be a good one to hear him sing. Love that. Love the voice. Wow. Some strange things. Smelling her clothes. This has come up in passing earlier in the trial when he mentions finding her undergarments in the car, and he determines that they had been worn. Just saying. That's all. But this was something that apparently the defendant did. The defendant in his interview, if you missed that early on in the case, he was interviewed twice by the police, and he instead of talking about him and where he was what he was doing and alibis and all that, he basically painted his wife as a modern day Hester Prynne, the whole Scarlet Letter thing, and I'm just focused on that. Long black train. Uh-oh. Is that a reporter? Wondered why the witness got out of the paper and now does pressure washing. Well, have you ever tried to sell a paper nowadays?
Very good.
Very good. Yo, mama, member for 13 months. Thank you very much. My favorite. This case just keeps getting stranger by the minute. Tennessee Whiskey is a good song. Let me look up how much I'd have to pay to play that on my live stream.
I do.
Ooh, we've got some activity from the court on the State v. Daybell case.
Good morning.
Morning.
State your name, please.
My name is George
It is,
Jared.
Would you spell your last name, please?
Jared.
Thank you, Mr. Jared. Mr. Jared, where do you work?
I am an investigative reporter. I work for a company called Talk Business and Politics. It's based in Little Rock. I'm also a true crime author. I've written 5 books, and I've covered dozens of murder cases in Arkansas and around the country.
Why aren't you at the convention?
And where were you working in October of 2013?
I was working for the Jonesboro Sun. It is, or was, the largest newspaper in Northeast Arkansas.
Okay. And do you know David Swift?
I don't know him personally, but I spoke with him a number of times on the phone, and we have a number of mutual acquaintances. He and his wife were from the general area where I live, so we know some people that know each other.
Okay. Did you eventually interview Mr. Swift?
Yes, I did.
And how many times did you interview Mr. Swift?
I talked to him a number of times on the phone. I wouldn't characterize each time I talked to him necessarily as an interview, because sometimes I'd call him and he'd be like at work or some other place, and he wasn't able to talk. But being a reporter, I tried to get a question or two in anyway, and sometimes he would answer a question or two. But it was probably 4 or 5 times maybe.
Okay. And did you actually write an article about the interviews that you had?
I did in October of 2013.
Okay. And during that interview, did Mr. Swift make statements about conducting private investigations?
Yes.
And did he say he had recovered information about the murder?
He did, but he didn't divulge many of the details to me. He said he wanted to keep that to himself at that time.
Okay. So he didn't report it to anyone at that time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And did he also tell you that he had collected numerous folders of information concerning his wife's murder?
Yeah, I don't know if the term was folders or binders, but he said that he had collected some information and that he was keeping it. So yes.
Okay. Did he tell you what was inside those folders or what information he'd gathered from that?
No, he didn't give me any details. Of course, being a reporter, I'm trying to dig out any detail I can, but he didn't divulge anything specific.
Did you ask him about the early morning hours of October 30th, 2011, when Miss Karen Swift got home?
Yes.
Okay. And did he tell you that he saw Miss Swift that night?
Yes.
Okay. Did he tell you where he saw her?
He didn't say it. There was no specific location within the house. He just said that he saw her.
Okay. Did he tell you that he knew what she was wearing, or whether he knew she was wearing what she was wearing?
That detail never came up. He never told me what she was wearing.
Okay. Did he tell you where his daughter Ashley went to bed that night?
What he told me was that Ashley had been staying the night with some friends at a house, and that Karen had been out at the country club at a Halloween party. She left and went and was going to stay the night at some friend's house, and that Ashley called her and asked her to come pick her up and take her home. And so Karen did, and so early in the morning they arrived at the house, and he said that they went to bed in the same bed.
Karen and Ashley?
Karen and Ashley, yes.
Okay. Did he tell you how many times he talked to his wife when she got home?
He didn't give me a specific number, no.
Okay. Was it more than once?
My impression was yes.
Let's rephrase the question.
Well, my question was, did he tell you that he talked to her more than once?
The question was just asked. Does he know? That's as opposed to an impression. I agree that that's not appropriate response.
Okay. Do you know if he talked to his Miss Swift more than once?
He didn't give me a number, but when I talked to him, I believe it was more than once.
That objection's overruled. He's answered the best of his knowledge.
Judge, he said I did not give him a number, but I believe.
I heard the response.
Did Mr. Swift tell you that he saw Miss Swift when she was leaving the house?
He didn't tell me specifically. I asked the question. I said, did you talk to her before she left? And what he told me is that during the course of the interaction that night, he said that they did talk, and that the conversation was cordial. No one was mad. There was no heated argument, nothing like that.
Okay. Did he say anything about seeing her leave?
No, he gave no detail about that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
What year did you contacted David Swift, didn't you?
I did.
You hunted him down.
I called him on the phone.
Right. You sought him out.
I did, yes.
You were a reporter or writer at the time?
I was a reporter.
Who were you a reporter for?
The Jonesboro Sun.
Okay. And you later published a book?
Yes.
Did you have a lot of different chapters about different cases in there?
I did. It's an anthology-style book, and each chapter is a different murder case that I've covered as a journalist.
Okay. So you were looking for stories so you could sell a book for compensation?
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I guess I'm a writer. This is what I do for a living. It's my vocation. So I get, yes. I mean, I wasn't looking for any specific. I've covered dozens and dozens and dozens of murder cases, and I've written about all of them.
Well, that's good, but you eventually published a book, though, didn't you?
Yes.
And you did receive some compensation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just asking the question. And thank you.
You can step down, sir. Is the witness released?
Yes.
Do not. It's a good time to take a lunch break then. Okay. Is that okay with you? We're going to stop there. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to
That's funny, Jimmy.
stop for lunch there. Remember, again, do not discuss the case at lunch. The proof has not been completed in the case. Do not form or express an opinion, and do not let anyone approach you about the trial. I don't think they'll have the opportunity, but hope you enjoy your lunch. We'll see you back at 1 o'clock.
All rise.
All right. With that, we have lunch till 1 o'clock, which means they have an hour and 15-minute lunch. We will take an hour. We'll be back 15 minutes before they start. And we all got a break. We all got a break. You can make your phone calls now, rejected juror. This is what we've been waiting for. Happy Friday, everybody. Seriously. What a day. We've had what was her name? The barn lady. We've had Johnny Cash. We've had some amazing witnesses on the stand. It's been awesome today. So what a day. Happy Friday. All right. Let's see. So where does the state think he hid the body? That's what I'm confused about. They found the body. What's his name? I want to order his book. I think it was George Jared. George Jared was the investigative reporter and true crime aficionado. All right, we do have the Daybell case has started over on the Top Mark Media channel. I'm not going to mess with the audio today, I promise. I don't want to mess that up for them again. But that just barely began. If you want to jump over there, that is going to be the sentencing phase, so it will seem a lot like the trial, but starting over with some more details about Chad and life, his hard life, and everything else. 7. I hear you, man. Seriously, my thoughts exactly when I woke up out of bed this morning, rolled out of bed. I was just thinking, that was the first thought that went through my head. We're on the same page. He's a true crime writer. Yes. Let's see, you found the guy's article. Should I send it to the burner? That'd be great. I can't like read it verbatim, but I might like to peruse it. Anyway, let's get ready and go to lunch so we can all enjoy this time. Mrs. R.A. is back from going to the park with friends. We have a hot lead on a tenant in our Airbnb we have to respond to really quickly. So I thought this was about a divorce. No, we're coming back in 1 hour. 1 hour from right now. So whatever time it is, wherever you are, 1 hour from now is when we'll be coming back. Vicky says, I'm a true crime writer with half a book, so I'll take pre-orders now, thanks. Just sign up. Half a book is better than most of us. A few of us get stuck at the title and never get beyond that, let alone the title page. Circumstantial case, very much. It was cold case. We're not going to hear that smoking gun bit of evidence that we'll link this to. It's and honestly, but the way the judge is ruling out restricting some of this circumstantial evidence, it might be difficult for the state to get the jury to the point where they can convict this person. So we'll see it. We'll see if it happens. All right, tonight when everyone goes home, please. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe to go live again in 1 hour. What are you going to do for an hour? You could run over to Top Mark Media if you want. I'll send you a little link so you don't have to even work. I'll do all the effort for you. How about that? We'll redirect to Top Mark Media. Let's see. There it is. All right. We'll pop over there. We've already got Ashley, Red Pen, Lucy. Let's see who else is over there in chat. Quite a few people are talking. Tammy Dunlop's over there. Melissa, Donna Parker, Tammy Herman, Digital String Theory, Selena K. Some of you are watching two things at once. I can see that. Guys, have a good lunch. We'll see you afterwards. Bye-bye.